Dodgers in dominating fashion. In 1988, the Dodgers returned the favor with one of the most thrilling memories in sports history, a series-changing home run as the Dodgers took down the Athletics for their 6th world title. Here in 2018, both the A's and the Dodgers are playing at a high level and now have all the tools to bring championships back to their respective cities. Tonight, the two teams meet in an interleague matchup. Could be a World Series preview. A's and Dodgers next. Well, after an off day yesterday, back to work tonight for the Athletics here at the Coliseum. A's are looking for their 7th consecutive win. The Dodgers are in town. That's your matchup. Rich Hill and Sean Manai. It's the A's and the Dodgers coming up on NBC Sports California, powered by Xfinity. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's Baseball. Along with Ray Fosse, I'm Glenn Kuiper. In the last 48 hours, the A's have added to their pitching staff, Ray. They got a reliever and they got a starter. And you know what? That's the route the A's are taking. Let's add to that staff.
Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing. Mike Fiers was here over the weekend. He thought he might be traded before he went to Los Angeles, down in Anaheim. But instead, he had to make the trip back up here. Very happy. He shaved his beard and said, hey, it's a new start for me. As far as Sean Kelly, the A's did add to the back of the bullpen. And that is what the A's have been doing. We saw with Familia and now 2 more pitchers. I think the A's are very happy with the offense so far, and especially the defense.
And for the Dodgers, they're trying to win the National League West for the 6th straight year. They made some acquisitions as well. They went with the big bats. To talk more about that, here's Dallas Braden. Dallas?
Yeah, time to re-up out there at Chavez Ravine. No doubt they had a glaring hole at the shortstop position very early on. April 30th, Seager goes down, and they realize, you know what, there's going to be a free agent looming next year, a guy we might be able to acquire in Manny Machado, and that's exactly what they did. Full court press. They bring Machado over to Tinseltown, and since his arrival, you take a look at those numbers, 279, a couple doubles, a couple long balls, and he's going to be playing outstanding defense through the middle of that ball field for the Dodgers. A nice upgrade there. And then they go out and get Brian Dozier, a natural second baseman. You had the platoon and Kike Hernandez and Chris Taylor at second base, but you go out and get a guy who's a slight upgrade against lefties, but again, a natural second baseman as opposed to splitting time between those 2 platoon guys. So a great addition in both Machado and Dozier for the Dodgers.
All right, so 2 playoff hopeful teams set to square off tonight here at the Coliseum. A nice crowd is gathering, and you know what? We're going to have a fun 2 days of baseball against 2 of the better teams in all of baseball, the A's and the Dodgers. We'll have lineups at first pitch right after this.
comes through every time. See your local Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. By Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Jack in the Box. Try something different, like Jack's Teriyaki Bowls. Only at Jack in the Box for a limited time.
So Sean Manaea and the Athletics set to take the field as we're looking forward to the next two ball games, the A's and the Dodgers interleague baseball. Here's the game time weather presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is open daily. It's a nice night for baseball. A pretty good crowd is on hand for Tuesday night here at the Coliseum. So let's take a look at the Dodgers lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Here it is. Dozier, Machado, the two new guys at the top. Then Turner, Kike Hernandez, Kemp, Taylor, Bellinger, Puig, and Barnes. That's the Dodgers starting lineup.
And the starting lineup for the Dodgers on April the 10th were Taylor and Seager. They had home runs back-to-back to lead off the game. Sean Manaea 5 innings in the start against the Dodgers on the 10th of April. The only really bad start he had in the month, but that was 5 innings because as a pitcher they pinch hit for him because the A's could do nothing against the Dodgers staff.
So Manaea's first pitch is outside to Brian Dozier, just acquired from the Minnesota Twins.
Hey, we finally get to see a Twins player.
That's right. We got a bunch of games left with the Twins.
That's right. Haven't seen the Twins yet. Daycap, you said it before the game started. There are a lot of Dodger fans here tonight.
Oh, man.
At least dressed as Dodger fans.
Timmons, Malinsky, Winters, and Visconti. That's Mike Winters. He's the crew chief. He's at second base, so that's your umpiring crew for tonight. 2-1 now to Brian Dozier. Machado to follow, and then Turner.
Dozier's always been an impressive leadoff hitter, 18 home runs, and of course those numbers transfer to the National League, even though American League players in Machado and Dozier. Very good numbers for both, leading back-to-back for the Dodgers.
Well, Dozier, that slight upgrade against lefties between Taylor and Kike Hernandez, the guys that were platooning over at second base.
And that one is lined to left, and that's a base hit. So Manaea fell behind in the count, and this is a very good hitting Dodgers team, and that fastball right out over the plate. Defensively, it's Pinder, Canna, and Piscotty in the outfield for the A's. So good to see Chad Pinder back. Chapman, Simeon, Lowry, Olson on the infield, with Jonathan Lucroy doing the catching. So leadoff man aboard for the Dodgers, and here's Machado. Machado, another big season, 309, 26 home runs, and 70 RBIs. And he's playing in his 18th game with the Dodgers, and he shoots that one to the right side. Lowry on the dive. He throws to second. Got him. Nice play by Jed Lowry and a close play at first.
Well, I think Jed was trying to make the decision on whether or not he was going to have time to get this ball to second base. Gathered himself, said, you know what, I know Simeon's going to be there. Go ahead and deliver a strong throw, and you can see Simeon beats him to the bag there on the kick. Manaea very appreciative. Hey, baby Jed, go to work early.
Exmo brought to you by Cache Creek Casino Resort. So a nice play early on indeed by Jed Lowry.
One of the problems up the middle, and that's why it was such a great play, because they're shading, pitching towards the middle for a double play. Up ball almost eluded him. If it had been first and third instead, nice play by Jed. They get the lead runner.
Here's Justin Turner.
You know, I think a lot of times just a good defensive play, of course, it can get the offense going, but I think it also can help a pitcher, because all of a sudden Sean Manaea, great defensive play behind him. He's got the middle part of the lineup coming up, and see how effectively he pitches against these guys.
A little bit outside to Justin Turner. Turner at 259 with 6 home runs, 22 runs batted in. Turner playing in just his 54th game, so he has missed quite a bit of time on the disabled list this year.
Kendall Graveman hit him in spring training, broke his hand in spring training. Graveman,
that was
out with Tommy John surgery, but that was huge.
And he came back then in the middle of May, and then I think he went back on the disabled list for a little while.
Yes, he did.
So
Yeah, because at the time when he went back on and they had acquired Machado actually played third a little bit, something he said he did not want to do when he was traded. That's almost a slide step quick pitch, and then it's unnecessary. You got to worry about the hitter at the plate because Turner has power. So does that guy.
Hernandez. So another 3-1 count. Be careful here. Turner, a very good hitter. And that's a good pitch right there for a strike. Surprised Turner didn't take a rip at it.
I think he might have been looking outside. The pitch was down and in, and maybe just enough that he couldn't tell where the pitch was.
See if Machado takes off. The runner at first, he does not. And that one's hit in the air right center, and it's hit pretty well on the move, and it's off the wall. Machado looks back, heads for third, and he's going to stop there. Turner into second with a double. So a booming double off the wall in right center field by Turner.
Well, one of the problems with Sean Manaea, we saw it in Colorado when he left the ball up, and that pitch, although a little bit outside, but still pretty good pitch, and just shows the ability of the Dodgers hitters to do this. Go to the opposite field, not trying to pull everything, and have that kind of power going to the opposite field. And Wade was slicing away from Canna in center. Piscotty had no chance. Surprised that Machado didn't score, to be honest. Thought with the ball in front of him that he would have seen that and able to score from first.
Pitchcast brought to you by SoFi, a modern finance company. And here's Kike Hernandez, the center fielder.
You talk about that approach trying to go the other way. You can see that with Machado early, aggressive first pitch fastball away, hole over on the right side, trying to shoot it through. Jed made a great play. But Justin Turner, guy who likes to go the other way, looks up, took advantage of a 3-2 heater.
17 home runs, 38 runs batted in for Hernandez, but just a .218 batting average. But he's hitting cleanup, at least against left-handed pitching, so he must be doing something right. He's a .231 hitter with runners in scoring position.
And again, to that point, only .209 against lefties. Dozier .247 against lefties. And Chris Taylor, the other man, splitting time over there at second base, .230 against lefties.
Take a look at Dave Roberts.
Flanked by Rick Honeycutt, pitching coach, and Bob Guerin, his bench coach.
Jammed that time and rolled foul. 1-2 the count. So Manaea needs a strikeout early.
Well, let's see if he can go slider back foot and get it. That would be big. He's got to throw it hard, though. That's one thing that Sean is really working on, trying to throw the slider hard. And remember, he's making his 24th start. He has yet to miss a start this season, which is a major accomplishment for any starter. Soft.
Manaea struggling a little bit with his control in the very early going in this game.
Tried to guide that last changeup, and that's not good. Fortunately, it was out of the strike zone.
2-2 pitch, here it is, and it spins Kike Hernandez back out of the way. Almost hit him.
Got no problem with that pitch. It's okay to move some feet every once in a while. Good arm speed on that fastball, and now if you can take that arm speed, execute a good changeup here, down 3-2. Kike's going to be in swing mode. Just got to execute.
3-2 pitch is chopped toward Chapman. He scoops. He thought about home. He's going to throw to first to get the out there. Machado comes in to score, so the Dodgers have an early 1-0 lead. Chapman glanced at home. I think it would have been a tough play to get to the out at home.
You know, he made the smart move. It's early in the game. You want outs, and Matt Chapman right there. It would have been a close play, especially since the catcher can't block the runner off. So Chapman, while he made a great play, looked, but still such a strong arm, he could look, still keep running, and get the out at first base. And again, critical to get out. You take a chance early in the game, open up a big inning by trying to get a runner at the plate. Take the out.
So 2 away. Turner stays at second, and here's Matt Kemp. Quite a story, Matt Kemp. He was traded back to the Dodgers this offseason, but it was really just a financial move. And I don't think the Dodgers really had any intention of keeping him.
Nope, they sure did.
And nobody really wanted him. So what does he do? He makes the All-Star team. So everybody's at fault here, Dallas. The Dodgers can say what they want, but they tried to trade him when they acquired him, and nobody wanted him.
Well, and again, I think what you have to think about with Matt Kemp is, I think for the first time in a long time, he feels like he was completely healthy. Didn't have to worry about the ankle issues. You know, his foundation was getting back to where he felt like he could compete again. I mean, there was talk about whether or not he was in shape or not, whether he was in baseball playing shape, and like you said, all he did was earn himself a trip to DC.
Lays off that one. And Kemp, he'll be 34 years old in September, and he's been a terrific player for a long time, but he has bounced around quite a bit in the last 5 years.
Okay, I think you're right, because the players that went to Atlanta for Kemp, it was more or less salary for salary,
yeah.
And we know what happened with the players that went to Atlanta. Kemp, though, changed everything. And, you know, looking at him when he played before and seeing him now, how much weight he's lost, that has to really contribute to a very, very healthy and successful player.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like he lost a fair amount of weight, and hey, it's showing up.
That's impressive there with a 373 average. You know, plus, I know when we were in Los Angeles, he and Kelly Jansen talking to the great Don Newcomb. And Nuke was as if he said, you know, I've been around, and the guys were really joining his conversation as much as possible, learning as much as they could from the great Don Newcomb, who is still on the staff of the Dodgers. This could be a big out for Sean Manaea. We saw Trevor Cahill on Sunday struggling. He had a bases loaded strikeout, got out of the inning against the Tigers, pitched well.
Foul back. You know, that trade that was made between Kemp, the Dodgers, and the Braves, it was really the Dodgers said, all right, we'll take Kemp, and the Braves took on a whole bunch of salary for this year. It was McCarthy, and it was Kazmir. It was like $50 million worth.
Okay.
And the Dodgers said, well, we'll get rid of that salary, but we're going to have to pay Kemp this year, but we're also going to have to pay Kemp next year. So what the Braves did is they, at the end of this year, the Braves will have cleared their slate of all these salaries. The Dodgers wanted a little help this year.
Right.
And then again, they'll have to pay Kemp a pretty high salary again next year. But it's worked out for him because Kemp's had a great year.
And a lot of clubs are trying to get under the threshold, the luxury tax threshold.
That was part of it too, I think.
Yeah, trying to get under the 197 or something like that. That's a lot of money.
1-2 pitch again, rolled foul. So Dodgers making Manaea work here in the very first inning. Well, tonight, any 95-mile-per-hour fastball is our fast pitch, brought to you by Xfinity, the fastest Wi-Fi at home and on the go.
You know, the way this inning is going, maybe Sean Kelly was acquired just in time.
We needed Sean
because he may see action sooner than later.
Kemp pops it foul up over our heads to our right.
Started 0-2. That is the 5th that he has fouled after taking a pitch out of the strike zone.
And he's seen everything. He's seen the heater up. He's seen the heater in. He's seen the changeup down and away. He even threw a back foot slider there coming in at 77, the pitch before last.
Well, you can see why he's a 373 hitter with runners in score position too, because that kind of an at bat that he's having, fouling on some pitchers' pitches.
And he got him swinging. The runner was on the move. So Kemp strikes out. The Dodgers get a run. Bottom of the first coming up. Let's look at the Athletics starting lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Simeon, Chapman, Lowry, Davis, Canna, Olsen, Piscotti, Pinder, and Lucroy. That's the A starting lineup.
And the A's know this gentleman quite well. That is Rich Hill, who pitched for the Athletics before being traded to the Dodgers, then signed an extension following the trade. Of course, it was Reddick and Hill going to the Dodgers. But Rich Hill, great curveball. I asked him about the facial hair, and he said, I just forgot to shave. But much different pitcher, but a very good pitcher nonetheless.
Defense has Chris Taylor, Kike Hernandez, and Yasiel Puig in the outfield. Turner, Machado, Dozier, and Cody Bellinger on the infield, with Austin Barnes doing the catching. So, see how the A's fare against the curveballing Rich Hill.
Yeah, they're going to see a few.
The big bender.
That's right. And you can tell it's coming. They're still sometimes a tough time hitting.
I like the leg kick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but he finishes. It's only with the fastball, though. But you're not going to watch his leg kick because the ball's already by you. There it is.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you know what? We found a tendency, but it happens after the pitch is thrown.
After he throws it. Yeah, watch the left leg. He'll follow through. And then, yeah. Doesn't do it on the curveball, though.
Machado in the hole shows off a strong arm. Simeon is out. All right, talking about the curveball. Curveball usage, we're going to go home and road. We're going to go hard hit rate and in zone whiff percentage. So he has been better indeed on the road this year. That's with the curveball, and that is his signature pitch.
Last time out against Milwaukee, 48 fastballs, 45 curveballs.
Huh.
I mean, you look at the numbers and you see the higher percentage of well, that's fastball curveball basically.
Yeah, by my count here, he's thrown 17 total changeups this season.
Well, and he also pitches from the far third base side of the rubber. Dallas, how does that come into play for a guy with a curveball like his? Well, he is way over on the third base side.
Right, and he does a good job of creating angle, and that's the idea. You turn home plate, you angle home plate based on your best pitch, your release point.
Chapman, shallow center, that's Hernandez. So that's 2 outs. So Rich Hill, he was not with the A's very long, just half of the 2016 season, but he was good when healthy. His record with the Athletics was 9-3, and he had a 2.25 ERA. That was the good news. The bad news is he only made 14 starts, but the Dodgers liked what they saw. They traded for him, as Ray, you mentioned, and then he pitched well for the Dodgers when acquired, so well that they gave him a 3-year, listen to this, folks, $48 million deal. 3 years, $48 million, and this is year 2.
For somebody who had never been a starter.
No.
He'd been in the bullpen.
Life's good if you're Rich Hill, man.
Independent baseball. I mean, you look at his numbers, and, you know, granted, he's not made the Sean Manaea starts, but 74 innings. He may not get to 140 innings for the season, or 120.
Well, he had blister problems again this year, which he's really had every year now for 3 consecutive years.
It almost seemed that whenever A's were thinking about trading him, and that blister just kept popping open. It's almost like, I don't want you to trade, I like it here. And he did. He liked playing in Oakland, but it worked well going to the Dodgers, and especially signing the extension.
Lowry shoots one foul. Dallas, the blister thing with Rich Hill, and none of us are doctors, but does it have something to do with him throwing so many curveballs?
I think it has a combination of a lot of things. It's a matter of I think the composition of the baseball these days, the laces, the seams, the texture of the ball, but also, again, the amount of which you throw a certain pitch. That ball's coming off the same fingertip release point, the same point of that finger time and time again. And you watch him, he spikes that pitch as well. So there's a lot of tension at release with that pitch. And again, 48 fastballs last time out, 45 curveballs. I mean, it's essentially a coin flip on what you're going to get from Rich Hill. So it definitely, I think the baseball has a lot to do with it. But again, the repetition which he throws that pitch.
So 3-2 to Jed Lowry.
Well, the one thing I remember he pitched against the Astros, Jose Altuve hit a 3-2 curveball for a home run. That's how predictable he was in throwing a curveball, especially 3-2. Did get him the next time, but the one time, and probably had him, I think, remember, struck out before the 3-2 pitch, but ended up hitting it anyway.
And he walked it with a fastball on 3-2.
It's almost like he throws a BP fastball when he throws a fastball. It's not, I mean, he doesn't throw hard anyway. 89, 90 max with his fastball.
So a 2-out base runner, and here is Chris Davis. I think too with Rich Hill's curveball, it's such a big curveball, it's a hard pitch to pull the trigger on.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
Well, and the thing with it is that's his out pitch, and even though it's essentially a coin flip, it's a pitch that you don't necessarily want to go up there trying to hit. If you can hit the fastball, that's probably one these hitters are going to tell you they'd rather square up. That's the one they'd rather get off on and be aggressive on, not the curveball. But if you're going to go up there looking for a pitch, you might have a shot, but again, that's just not something you want to pick on.
But looking for a curveball, it's just against all hitters' mentality, right? May look for it once in a while, but
I think in more of fastball counts, you can expect to get the curveball. Probably that is more predictable than any other time. Throws at first pitch, gets a quick strike, because a lot of hitters will not swing at a first pitch curveball. If they do, they'll pop it up.
And Chris Davis takes a fastball right on the inside corner. Strike 3 called. 1-0 Dodgers after 1. Games, starters terrific, bullpen terrific, walks, strikeout ratio terrific, opponent's average terrific. How about the Tigers series, Ray? 0 earned runs allowed in the 3-game series by the A's. They allowed 1 run, and it was unearned.
Well, it took 100 years to do that.
What's the big deal, right?
7 innings for the guy on the left, and the guy on the right. Brett Anderson didn't get the win, but the A's did. 13 on Friday night. Sunday, 6-0 shutout, of course. I guess you could say shutout all the time, considering they didn't score runs.
A's now have a 3.84 team ERA. That is 4th best in the American League. So they have been working on that number for a while now, and it's going down and down.
I believe the bullpen is also top 5 across baseball in ERA.
I would think it is. We just use the eye test with the A's bullpen.
That's a good idea.
See it every day.
It's a good idea. Love those eye tests.
3-1 to Chris Taylor. So Manaea behind another hitter. And I tell you what, 3 starters, Anderson, Jackson, and Cahill. That's what they did. Anderson 7, Jackson 6 and a third, Cahill 6. So you got to go back to 1918. 0 earned runs allowed in a series. Last time that's happened. 3-game set for the A's. And it's a walk.
But here a few oohs and ahs as Lucroy inside with the target of the pitch. And across the plate to get where Lucroy was set up. Evidently not. But off the plate as Taylor, who homered against him on eyes, we mentioned, in Los Angeles, hesitated a little bit before he hit it to first base.
So here's Cody Bellinger. Bellinger dropping down in the order a little bit when a lefty is on the mound.
241 on the year, 211 against the Southpaws for Bellinger.
18 home runs overall after a terrific rookie season. He was rookie of the year, well deserved. 39 home runs and 97 RBIs in 132 games for Cody Bellinger. He will not get anywhere near those numbers this year. So maybe a little bit of an adjustment for Bellinger. Tell you what though, and we watch the Dodgers occasionally, nobody gets cheated in their lineup.
That's right.
I mean, they all are up
right.
there.
That's right.
Hacking and slicing. And I don't mean that meaning they're just wild swingers. I mean, they're all good hitters, but boy, they let it rip.
Absolutely.
Strike on the inside corner. So it's 1-2 to Cody Bellinger.
That's a great pitch by Sean Manaea there. A slide step off speed pitch, controlling the running game. A lot of times you think slide step, you might be going with the heater. Slide step, you're able to sort of speed up the hitter, slow down the runner, and drop that breaking ball in there at the same time. Very effective.
Olsen coming over. Olsen, and he kind of ran past it a little bit.
I've always thought Sean Manaea is one of the best pitchers to have some sort of a slide step, but still does not lose anything on his pitches. And the point of what Dallas said, everything that accomplishes, but think of the case of him when he throws whatever the slider or the fastball, does not seem to lose a lot when he does slide step. I was thinking about Adrian Gonzalez. See that trade also to the Braves because.
Yes, yeah, he was part. Yeah, they got him.
That's right, and then that was a lot of money for him too.
It was 3 huge salaries.
Yeah.
It was Kazmir, McCarthy, and Gonzalez.
Yeah, exactly. Because Bellinger, when he came up, he was playing the outfield and then went to first base, and Agon had no job. He gone.
So the Braves said, all right, we'll take all these salaries. We'll suffer through it this year. And none of those guys are playing for the Braves, are they? I don't think so.
Gonzalez,
but then the Braves said, hey, but we're clear of everything after this year.
Exactly.
Interesting trade.
But yeah, New McCarthy and Kazmir was thinking third, and then just before seeing Bellinger, right. Thinking about Adrian Gonzalez.
That's a good call. Shallow center. That's going to be Chapman with the shift on. Chapman back there in shallow center, and he makes the catch.
5.
Yep, it's a pop-up 5.
Just a 5.
So you write that down as a 5. See, and you're thinking it's a pop-up on the infield.
See Matt Chapman shaded even closer to second base than the normal shortstop position would be. Obviously our natural third baseman.
Chindo, I think the nice thing about that, Chapman's so quick. There's no problem with Canna, who broke back on the ball. I mean, it's a big swing by Bellinger, and naturally going to have a tendency to break back a little bit. But Chapman is there calling everybody off. Canna said, okay.
So 1 out here's Yasiel Puig.
He's the leader of the band. You see that twirling his baton?
Takes the first pitch in first strike. Puig, 14 home runs and 43 runs batted in.
He statues him on the first pitch, just a take with little to no interest whatsoever. That always made me fairly uncomfortable as a pitcher. I just didn't like it for whatever reason. Felt like he wasn't ready, but Puig ready.
And a good swing there. And the count 0-2. A lot of pitches for Manaea. 41 now so far.
Already a 3-1 count and 3-2 counts.
In the dirt. Dodgers don't run much. Taylor's got 5 steals. He's been thrown out 5 times.
That guy could run. Dave Roberts.
They like to get the ball out of the ballpark. Dodgers are second in the National League in runs scored. They're first in the National League in home runs, 155 home runs.
See that back leg jiggle there? Telling himself to stay back.
Just been watching Adrian Beltre.
A lot of that as well. And I think about the way he took that first changeup that he threw, the way he squatted down with that pitch, tracking it, and then the way he takes that pitch there. If you're able to pick that up as a pitcher, you see him shaking that back leg. That's him sort of telling him to keep the presence of mind, keep the weight back, don't get caught out front. I think you might be able to beat him with a fastball inside.
You know why I think he shakes his legs like that, you guys? Because I think he's scared that he's going to get a notice from Major League Baseball for taking too long in the box. I don't know.
And there's that fastball inside.
Maybe I'm wrong. Three, 2.
You're never wrong.
Yeah. Time of game police, you know. We're the get in the box and hit police. That's what we do. Taylor goes. Ball's hit hard into left field, and that's a base hit. Taylor's going to try for third. Pinder's throw is just a touch late. Puig strays a little bit too far off first, but he is able to get back, and the Dodgers have first and third.
As Taylor got to second base, it was almost like he was going to slide to steal a base, and a little reluctant to head to third, but he did once the ball. But it was a little bit of a hesitation at second base, almost cost him, but Chapman throwing across the diamond as Puig rounded the bag a little bit. Taylor going in straight, and then right at the end had to change direction to head to third, so it wasn't one that he could take the rounder going around the base.
So first and third, one out. Here's the catcher, Austin Barnes. And he bunts it. Manaea is going to throw to first, and the out is there. Coming in to score is Chris Taylor, and the Dodgers lead 2-0. So well executed by the Dodgers, kind of a safety squeeze.
Yeah.
And Barnes got the bunt down.
Well, look how close Taylor is, and Manaea gets the ball. I mean, again, probably too close to even take the chance. But remember, in Colorado, it was a game in which the Rockies played small ball early and took an early lead, never relinquished it. That Barnes, a good job. The nephew of Mike Gallego, something that Gags would do as well. But Taylor going to third. There's your safety squeeze.
And it also gets Puig to second for Dozier. So that's a extremely productive out by Austin Barnes. Dozier had a base hit in the first inning. So 2 very long innings for Sean Manaea. Finishing up on the Dodgers offensively, they're first in home runs in the National League. They're third in doubles. They're first in walks. Second in slugging, fifth in on-base percentage. So that's what the A's will try to have to control the next 2 ball games. A good Dodger offense.
It's a veteran lineup. You bring in guys like Dozier and Machado as well to pair up with Justin Turner, guys like Matt Kemp. Start to be selective. They understand the value of men on base.
Puig, very fast, is the runner at second. He'll try just about anything on the bases.
Well, the A's were shut out in the first game of the short 2-game series in Los Angeles back in early April. Game of Sean Manaea pitch. Rio pitched for the Dodgers. The A's were shut out 4-0, but the next night the A's scored 16 and defeated the Dodgers, splitting the series. But that was there with the pitcher hitting. Sean Manaea went just the 5 innings. Tonight seems like it's a struggle for pitch 1.
So 2-2 to Dozier. Pitch number 51 coming up for Sean Manaea.
See Puig dancing out there. I try to keep him close to second base. He's going to be running hard with 2 outs anyway. You don't want to guarantee him safe at home.
In the dirt, Puig takes off. So Puig will end up at third. The count is 3-2, but Puig getting up slowly. He did not have to slide, but he did. It was a little bit of an awkward slide.
A breaking ball that Jonathan Lucroy had to be concerned about blocking the ball, which he did a good job. Which, with the runner moving, he's going to get credit for stolen base. But you're right, Kai. He was running for the stolen base, really not paying attention to what happened to Dozier.
Dozier checks his swing, pitches up and away, and it's a walk.
You see, he hits the ground pretty hard. That right leg kind of hits first, absorbs a lot of that impact. Puig, not a little fella. See, that's what he kind of reaches in and grabs a little bit.
So meeting at the mound also should tell everybody it is African American Heritage Night at the ballpark. In next half inning, one of baseball's all-time greats. Joe Morgan, the Hall of Famer, is going to join us in the booth, so we're looking forward to talking to Joe.
Let's just hope we get to the next half inning.
Joe will get us some runs. He'll spark the offense. I'm telling you, that's what he did. So here's Machado. Machado reached on a fielder's choice and scored in the first inning. And that pitch is a little bit high.
I'll tell you right now, Sean Manaea is working underneath the baseball. You've seen a lot of misses up and out of the zone, a lot of misses up high arm side as well. He's a little quick in his delivery.
Missed low.
The interesting thing about Manaea in the start back in early April, he gave up 2 home runs the first inning, did not give up another run the next 4. Trying to avoid the 3 spot now.
That one's hit to right field, but playable for Piscotty. And he's got it side retired. Another run for the Dodgers. Bottom of the second coming up. It's 2-0 LA. The Hall of Famer Joe Morgan will join us when we come back. And on African American Heritage Night, we're honored to be joined by the Hall of Famer Joe Morty. Joe, it's great to see you.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Can you do
Hey,
a flat?
I gave that up a long time ago.
It's
When
all
it stopped working.
Never stopped working
Yeah,
for
it
you,
did.
man.
Well, we said, Joe, as we went to break, that he's now down 2-0. We need a little spark offensively, so we thought we'd bring you in because that's what you were all about.
Good. I'm looking for a spark for him, too.
Yeah.
Although they played fantastic lately, so, hey, this is early. This just gets them warmed up.
Here's Canna. Well, Joe, you grew up in Oakland, and you've lived most of your life in the Bay Area. So you know all about the A's. You played against them in a World Series many, many years ago.
And we started them on that 3-year run.
That's right.
I grew up like the right field foul pole about 8 blocks over that way.
Really?
Yeah. And there was only fields here, of course, when I was growing up. But yeah, I've been in Oakland all my life. You know, I went to high school, junior high, everything here, elementary, junior high, and high school here. And I actually graduated from Cal State Hayward. At the time. It's now Cal State East Bay, but I went to school there as well.
Well, you were part of it. Still is a wonderful legacy of professional baseball players coming out of Oakland.
Unbelievable. Yeah, group. I mean, the Frank Robinsons to the Veda Pensons to the, you know, Willie Stargell, Dave Stewart, Ricky Henry. I mean, it just goes on. And I'm a little disappointed that that trend hasn't continued. But
I'm going to ask you about one guy.
Yeah.
Curt Flood.
Yeah, well.
I mean, which is a whole other story. But I want to ask about just, and I know I happened to work with Curt when the Haas family owned the club, and Curt and I did speaking engagements. What a wonderful, wonderful person. How instrumental were you trying to get the association to help him? Because unfortunately, things just didn't work out for him as far as the way he lived his life or had to live his life.
Well, first of all, you're 100% correct in everything you said. Marvin Miller and I worked on trying to get him. What we really wanted to do was have an annuity, you know, and it wasn't at that time, you know, it was $100,000. That wasn't, you know, that was a lot of money in those days, and he could have gotten that for the rest of his life. And we couldn't get it done. Let's just leave it at that. But it was something that Marvin wanted, and I definitely wanted, because I thought he deserved something like that, because he, in effect, kind of gave up his career, the end of his career, to help, you know, get people, you know, into free agency and to get them out of the reserve clause.
You know, Joe, the one thing Tony La Russa, and I remember that when he did something about Stan Musial, because Stan used to come to the clubhouse. How important in what Curt did for baseball should he be recognized continually, instead of, you know, maybe some don't even know who he is or was?
Well, Ray, you're old school like me, so you realize things that happened, and as the old saying go, we stand on somebody else's shoulders, and all of us stand on Curt Flood's shoulders, not just baseball players, basketball players, football players. He was the one that started that free agency thing for all sports, and I agree with you 100%. There should be some kind of recognition, a Curt Flood award, something to just state that this guy was here and he did something, you know, because the young guys don't even realize who he was, and a lot of guys do not care who he was, you know, at this stage of their life. And it's unfortunate, because a lot of times in professional sports, the players of this generation think that everything started with them, and they do not realize that, again, somebody else paid the price. You and I went on strike. We did a lot of different things, so we did help that as well.
Well, it's a little bit that way with Marvin Miller as well, right?
That's the biggest travesty of all, because, I mean, how can you even put more people into the Hall of Fame without putting him in? The executive side, especially, because, I mean, he changed the game. I mean, he made it great for owners, players, everybody. I mean, there are a lot of people who hold that against him from the ownership side, but, I mean, he made them more money as well.
That's right.
He made this a better, more important game, and everything he did. You know, and a lot of times, you know, especially, and I don't like to do it this way, but, you know, Bowie Kuhn was the guy that was fighting against him for the owners, and he was fighting for the players. And I think both of them need to be recognized. Bowie Kuhn has been recognized, and he is in the Hall of Fame. Marvin Miller is not. And his last few years, Marvin and I, we had a great relationship all the time, as you mentioned, going back to even the Curt Flood thing. But Marvin had gotten to the point where he said he didn't even want to be on the ballot anymore. And I understood that. I really did, because, you know, what else you going to do?
Sure.
I mean, he couldn't go back and change his life or change the things that he did for the game to make it better, make people not resent him. And it's just unfortunate.
Well, in reality, the two, Curt Flood and Marvin Miller, the players should be bowing down every day, because I mean, essentially, the two of them did everything for the game of baseball from the player standpoint.
It's unbelievable that they don't recognize the two of them.
Exactly.
Just like you're saying. I mean, these two guys did everything to make this game profitable for you. You and I played in an era where, when I first got to the big leagues, you didn't negotiate a contract. They just told you what you're going to get, and either you take that and go home, or you take it and play. So Marvin obviously changed all that by having arbitrations, all the other things, the free agencies. Like I said, everything was done, you know, for the benefit of the player, but it also made the game better, which made it more money for the owners as well. So for the whole industry.
3-2 the count to Piscotty, and he lays off. It's a big breaking ball, so Piscotty takes the 2-out walk.
Hey, we're going to get to watch the Hall of Famer here.
Joe Morgan as a player.
Whoa, look at that young guy.
Yeah, that was young.
You can run.
Hey, and this, I told you, see me now.
There you go. There it is. There it is.
Flap.
How many times did you, was it?
Ray, I don't know. You know, one announcer said if he does it 3 times, he's nervous. If he does it 2, he's going to get a hit. I wish I'd have known that. You know, I would have tried to have a time. I just tried to feel comfortable.
Well, we'll talk more with Joe Morgan about his career and some other goodies.
Absolutely.
So we're talking to the Hall of Famer, Joe Morgan. Guess Joe Morgan?
Get me with an A's uniform on, man.
Oh, yeah. What, 1984?
84. I hit my final home run here, and that broke a record at the time for second baseman.
At the time.
But, hey, all those records now, I mean, man, guys are home run hitters now. Yeah, everybody. And strikeout artists, but go ahead.
So 1972, you guys come here for the World Series, right? Probably a huge moment for you coming back home. And you guys lost to the A's, but tell us some of your memories about that series.
Well, it rained a lot.
Only here.
Yeah.
Turner's got a base hit.
But obviously growing up here, and like I said, a few blocks from here, knowing that I was going to play here and play in a World Series, that was my first World Series also. You know, I was just ecstatic because I was going to be able to bring all my family, all my friends, and it cost me a lot of money. As Ray knows, you have to pay for the World Series tickets. You don't get them free. So I was just ecstatic of coming home and being able to play in front of my fans and my parents. I didn't play as well as I would have liked. I got hot the last 3 or 4 games, but the first couple I could only get a walk every once in a while.
Got hot in 75, didn't you, against the Red Sox?
Oh, yeah. I'll always remember that one. That's the thing that the backyards are made of.
Well,
when you're a kid, you're throwing up rocks in the backyard in the 9th inning, and I always got a hit.
But you had the game-winning hit in the top of the 9th inning of Game 7, right?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it was a little fly ball that dropped.
No, it wasn't a fly ball. It was a line drive.
It's a fly.
Raymond, it's a line drive, wasn't it?
It's just
all you got to do is look in the box score. It says base hit, single or center field.
Line drive.
Yeah.
It's in the mind.
It's all in the mind.
That's
You're right. Boston, they said it was a little flare. Cincinnati said it was a line drive.
Bottom line, it was a win.
All right, it was a win. All right, now watch where this pitch is, though, Raymond.
I know.
Oh, no, this is where I threw Blue Moon on him because Tony Perez, I said, get out of the way.
See the wet field from all the rain.
Yep, and it was wet, but it was one of the best plays I've ever made. I mean, it sounds funny. I made a lot of pretty good plays, but that one, because of the pressure, the 9th inning, and Blue Moon was the tying run.
That's right.
And after I slipped, I had to get up and make a strong throw, accurate throw, and it was right there. Because if I'd have pulled bench one way or the other, he'd have been safe.
Yeah. Joe, one of the things, and you've had a great career, but I want you to talk about there's a group called the Black Aces. The guys who have won 20 games or more, African Americans. How special is that? Because I know I've talked to Mike Norris, and of course he sees Sabathia, but it's a special group of guys. How special is it from your standpoint to know that there is that group of guys who win at least 20 games?
Well, you have to go back. I started my first big league full season in 1965. That was the opening of the Astrodome. There were very few African American starting pitchers in those days, and that were successful. So the history of the game, these guys kind of chronicle the history of the game. They show that, given the right opportunity, same situation, that the African American players could do the same thing. And you have to remember, and like I said, I'm a lot older than you and you guys. Well, but when I played, African American, they didn't have many pitchers. Right. They didn't have catchers. And for some reason, that was the thinking positions, and it was the same thing in football. They didn't have middle linebackers. They didn't have quarterbacks. All those things over the years have been disproved, but that was the thinking back in those days.
J.R. Richards was pretty good, wasn't he?
J.R. Richards. I've said this, Raymond, and I mean it. I faced Koufax, Marichal, Gibbs. I faced all the great pitchers in the history of the game during my time. J.R. Richards could have been right there with all of those guys if he'd have remained healthy. He was getting better each and every start that year. I was on the team with him when he had the stroke.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah, it is.
Because he was, I heard he was just.
He was.
I mean, it just.
His slider was 95, 96 miles an hour. It's unbelievable. He was unbelievable. And he was 6'7" or whatever. So he's stepping halfway to the plate, and all right-handers bailed. All right-handers.
All right-handers.
And even some of us left-handers too. But no, he was really, really special. I feel, and we're very good friends. And like I said, I was on the team with him in Houston when he had the stroke in 1980. And he was 10-1 with a 1-something earned run average. I don't know how many strikeouts, and he was getting better each time he went out there. So. It's one of those, and that's where we're talking about. It's like, not because you're here, but you got injured at the peak of your career, and people don't realize how blessed you have to be. First of all, to make it to the major leagues, and second, to be able to complete my career. I got a chance to play 21 years. I played. That's all there was. I got all there was, and so you have to be blessed for that to happen. And some guys like you and like JR and all those guys, they'll never know how good they really could have been. And and I was, this, but I was standing there when you got hit by Pete Rose. And if you ever look at the film, I hate to say this, I was the only one to come over to see how you were doing.
I remember.
I came over to see how you were doing, and because I felt bad. I didn't know you were hurt as badly as you were, but I knew it had been a collision, that somebody might get hurt. And so you were laying there, and I came over to say, to see how you were doing. And like we said, that that had a big impact on the remainder of your career, and nobody will ever know. It's like I tell people all the time, you know, a lot of people say, compare me with the greatest second baseman ever. And I say, we'll never know how good Jackie Robinson really was. Yeah. You know, the pressure he had to play under, his own teammates not liking him, and the other team hating him. So we don't know how good he could have been. You know, I got to play under no pressure, so to speak. I just got to play. My teammates pulling for me and everything. But Jackie didn't have that. And, you know, when you get injured, and I could have gotten injured. If I got injured in the minor leagues, you'd never heard of me because I was 5'5", 150 pounds. They weren't looking for guys like me, you know. I'm going to let you get back to the game.
No, this is more important. But, you know, the one thing, Joe, and you're talking about 5'5". Remember talking to Mike Gallego, who, by the way, is the uncle of Barnes, the catcher for the Dodgers. But anyway, I remember talking to Gags. I was doing an interview with him. And I said, I'm going to preface this. I'm going to tell you in advance because I'm going to talk about your height. Okay? Right. And he said something that I've always been amazed at yourself at 5'5". He said, my size has helped me because I get to the ground and the ball quicker because I'm shorter.
Well, I don't know about that, but I think my size helped me. But I think it helped me because I had to work harder. And all my life, you know, being from high school, whatever, I had to work harder to prove that I could play as good as you guys, the big guys. And I had to do that. So it became, work ethic became very easy for me. But he's right in that we do have a lower center of gravity, and we have a way to read the ground ball. You can read it better the lower you get. That's why you see a lot of players get down low trying to read the ground ball. So I never looked at it that way, but he is correct.
But, you know, Gags couldn't hit like you either. Well, if Gags could have hit like you, then, you know, then that would have been the whole thing. But I thought that was interesting because the perception of the so-called big guy. I mean, you look at players, if you have that intestinal fortitude, you have it, like you said, you worked hard to make what you, Hall of Famer. I'm sure when you were out over the fence there, you said, you know, what are my chances? But you worked hard to do it. And I thought that was interesting with Gags that he said that, you know, and which should lead a lot of kids to believe that no matter what size you are, there's a place for you.
There is a baseball.
That's right. It doesn't mean that, I mean, you may not play basketball.
No, that's what I said. Baseball is different. Baseball is a game of skill, not of strength, not of size. You can't be 5'5" and play in the NBA. You can't be 5'5", 150 pounds and play in the NFL. Those are prohibitive things. But me, you can play baseball if you have that size. You know, one of the best compliments I got, and you'll probably see this film coming out pretty soon. There's a lot of things with a lot of Hall of Famers talking about their career and what they saw. And the highest compliment I got was from Jose Altuve. He said, when I saw Joe Morgan play and be the MVP, I said, if he can do it, why can't I do it? So, and I realized when I first won my first MVP, I said that in one of the press conferences. I said, this is for all the little guys out there who have been told, like me, that you're too small to play. So,
and Jose should thank you for that 150 extension.
Exactly. You know, that's Kurt Flood, really.
That's
he should million, right? Kurt Flood
150 million extension.
Yeah, 150 million.
Yeah,
so let's get that right. Yeah, you and I were dealing 150,000. They're dealing millions. Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry. I don't know if you've got something you want to say, but I played with Vada Pinson.
Right.
And you're in the Hall of Fame. How close or should he be there?
Well, look, I think Vada Pinson's the Hall of Famer. I've said this over and over, and sometimes people don't like me to say it, but look, there are a lot of guys out there that I think should be in the Hall of Fame, okay, that I played against, watched play. I think they should be in the Hall of Fame. They're not going to get there probably, and I'm not saying Vada won't because he's going to be on the Veterans Committee, and there are a lot of players who saw him play that know how great a player he was. So I don't know, but I agree with you. If you just look at the statistics and what he did year in and year out, I think he's a Hall of Famer. But again, I think there are a lot of guys out there. I'm not one of those guys that think we should have a small Hall of Fame.
Bellinger just got a piece of it.
Yeah, I think the Hall of Fame should make more room for some guys because if you had an impact on the game, if you changed something, Maury Wills would be a great example. Those guys, why are the guys getting in now more important than they were? So, you know, but again, I'm old school because I saw these guys play. I played against Maury Wills, and I know how he changed the game.
Yeah, definitely. Still changing it.
Yeah.
Still teaching bunny.
Yeah.
Bellinger drives one towards center. Canis coming in. He'll play it on a hop. Turner's going to come in to score. So big 2-out hit by Cody Bellinger, and it's 3-0 Dodgers.
And it's too bad because it looked like Sean Manaea was going to get out of this, but just left it right in the middle, too much in the middle of the plate, and even with 2 strikes, that's his last pitch he's going to throw, and it's too bad to be in the 3rd inning and have to come out of the game. See the little hesitation, almost looked like Joe Morgan's little flap. Drive it to center field. There's your line drive, just like Joe did.
Just like I did.
Yeah, just like in the World Series.
So Sean Manaea is done for the night, and it's a quick outing. And Joe, we're going to let you go, but it's awesome talking to you. You look great. It's always great to
feel great. Everything is great. I'm happy to be here, and
Hall of Famer, man.
Always good to see you guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
Hall of Famer.
All right.
From Oakland, Joe Morgan.
Emilio Pagan.
Trailing 3-0, and when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. It's Emilio Pagan. He's trying to get the A's back in the dugout here in the top of the 3rd. So Pagan comes in for his 41st appearance, and he'll face Yasiel Puig with 2 on and 2 out.
And again, it was a matter of Sean Manaea just not able to get himself back down into the strike zone. A lot of extended at bats, 3-ball counts, full counts.
Too many.
Wasn't ever able to really settle in and hit a stride.
It's almost like you really noticed it in the very first inning.
Just almost looking at his demeanor, the way he was out there. It's like, and Dallas would know better being a starting pitcher, but you sometimes wonder how it happens from start to start. One is good, and the next one's bad, whatever. And someone was saying they celebrated the 31-win season of Denny McClain. You think about 31 wins, how many starts you have to have, and how deep you have to go in the game, and unfortunately, that's just what's happened. And
so that's the numbers against the National League. So he's been pretty good the first 2 years, but
hey, didn't have to hit tonight either.
That's true. No hit.
Well, you can regroup for his next one and know that sometimes you have to leave early, and it's just 3-0, and it's just the 3rd inning.
0-2. Puig with a mighty swing. So great to see Joe Morgan. I know he's had some health issues, but he's coming back. He's making a recovery, and I thought he looked great, and you know what, he sounded great.
He sounded great.
He's a lot of fun to talk to, and he's a very intelligent man.
Very, very good baseball man, and it is, and for him to say what he said, for all the little guys out there, and again, I think that's the misconception in this great game of baseball, that if you can play and you have the desire to play, there'll be a place for you. And you can do it. And I think he's proof of that, being in the Hall of Fame, and at his height, the 5'5", as he said.
You know what I like about talking to Joe Morgan? You may not agree with everything he says, but he makes you think.
Absolutely.
And you know what? My dad taught me one time. He said, you can learn a lot from people that you don't agree with.
Yeah.
Right? And Joe's a smart man.
Yeah.
He gets the whole baseball world.
Oh, yeah.
And he went around. So Pagan gets out of it. A long inning. And the Dodgers score 1, so they lead 3-0 going to the bottom of the 3rd.
Sports California is brought to you by Kelly Moore Paints. Go where the pros go. Kelly Moore, the painter's paint store.
So it's the bottom of the 3rd. Nice crowd tonight here at the Coliseum. A mixture of lots of A's fans, lots of Dodger fans. And right now the Dodgers leading 3-0. So Sean Manaea, a tough start with the A's. We've seen them come back all year, whether it be late in the game or early in the game. Tough cookie on the mound in Rich Hill. He's walked a couple tonight.
Well, something else to consider if you're Bob Melvin and the Oakland A's. Obviously not the start you'd like to see out of your lefty here, but you got an off day coming up on the other side of the series. You just got reinforcements in the form of Sean Kelly. So while it's not the route you'd like to go, game 1 of this short little 2-game piece here, you know that you've got the horses down there if need be, and they will need them tonight.
Well, one of the things that Bob Melvin does so well, and Dallas, to your point, that he could take in this particular game, knowing that he's got the bullpen, he's got a whole bunch of guys down there. He starts with Pagan. He knows he's got a group of guys that he can turn to and make it a bullpen game and have a lot of success out of the bullpen. And a lot of pride in that group of guys down in the bullpen to pick each other up and try to keep it where it is right now, 3-0. And hoping, as they always say, that the offense come back and score runs.
2-2 the count to Lucroy. Simeon and Chapman to follow. And there's the curveball on 2-2, 73 miles an hour. There's a strikeout.
Well, it's a 2-pitch mix. Steady diet of fastballs and curveballs. Take your pick. Rich Hill working the back door here. Looks appetizing up in the zone. Jonathan Lucroy just unable to get to it.
It only took him an hour to hit. I mean,
too long.
That's his first AB, and it's an hour. It's what, 8:15, and Luke just finally gets to go to the plate. All that work behind the plate, trying to get Manaea through 3 innings, and do I get to hit now?
So 1 away. Simeon hits one high and deep to left field. Taylor near the wall. Taylor up against the wall, and he makes the catch. So long out for Marcus Semien, 2 outs.
Well, you have to provide your own power. Unfortunately, sometimes you do that. And for Marcus Semien, the elevation, see the fastball, you can tell it's a fastball by the kick from Rich Hill. But this ball just could not sneak up on the out-of-town scoreboard. And I will say, it is Oakland, and it's cooler. It's cooling off quickly, and unfortunately, the ball doesn't carry when that happens.
Dallas was talking about the A's bullpen just a little bit ago, and we showed you earlier, but it was Dahl and Wendelken who were sent back to the minor leagues, with Sean Kelly being placed on the 25-man roster, and of course Mike Fiers. So that was the 2-for-2 transaction, and that's Mike Fiers, the newest Athletic. It was interesting. Sounded like, of course, Fiers was here over the weekend with the Tigers, and it sounded like the A's tried to get a deal done by Sunday where he would just stay here, but instead he went with the Tigers down to Anaheim. And then
of course, we all remember him with a full beard.
That's true.
And I said, what happened? He said, I just want a clean start. He was clean shaven, I guess, over the weekend down in Anaheim, and it just he's one of those in 2 days have a full beard again. But
he's quietly had a very good season for the Tigers, and now a member of the Athletics, and he is going to start tomorrow against Clayton Kershaw. So we'll get a quick look at Mike Fiers. That is Sean Kelly, the reliever the A's acquired a couple days ago. So it is a deep bullpen. Sean Kelly, pretty good reliever. I was surprised that, I know there was a little issue with the Nats, but I was surprised that they let him go that quickly. But a veteran reliever now. Also interesting, Kelly is finishing up a 3-year, $15 million contract that he signed with the Nationals. He will be a free agent at the end of this year. Mike Fiers, not so. Mike Fiers is under the A's control through next year, so that becomes part of the plan as well.
Well, the one thing Fiers said, he said, I could not be happier to be here. He said, I was hoping it would work out over the weekend. He said, and I think that's what happens, Skype, and that players who are playing on other teams, they see this club, the A's, and they see the success. They see the way the players are, and they want to be a part of it. Fiers said that.
So a couple of strikeouts for Rich Hill. Dodgers leading 3-0 after 3. So Dodgers with a 3-0 lead. It's the top of the 4th inning, first of a 2-game series. And the first pitch to Austin Barnes is in first strike. So Pagan got the final out in the third in relief of Manaya, so heads back out there for the fourth inning.
I think the game that stands out that the A's had down in Arlington, Texas, down 10-2 and came back, it was the bullpen that really did it, really helped. Starting with Wendelken. He did give up the slam, but after that, the rest of the bullpen just shut down everybody. And the A's were able to come back and win. You're not going to see that often. But that game it was, but a game like this where the starting pitcher has to exit in the third inning. That's where the bullpen really becomes very important. And the A's have plenty in the bullpen to turn to.
And a good fastball as Barnes swings and misses.
Now fans, the playoff push is here with the postseason in sight. Every divisional game means even more with the Mariners in town Monday through Wednesday. Now is the time to grab an affordable lower level ticket, $15 BART. Rapid Deal Day offers are available on Monday and Wednesday, or grab a $20 lower level ticket on Tuesday at athletics.com/town. Help us defend the town. Grab your seats today. That should be a great series. The Mariners in Arlington, Texas, as they lost tonight.
Yes, they did. 11-4 was the final.
Felix Hernandez started that game. Had he turned his ankle at first base, that it.
Yeah, he did not look good. He pitched 6 innings, gave up 7 earned runs and 8 hits. So Felix Hernandez is now 8-10 with a 5.73 ERA. So the Mariners lose again 11-4.
Isn't it amazing, Kite, that he's never been to postseason? And here's a year that that they're fighting to get there, and he's having probably his worst year.
That's the wild card.
And to that point, Foss, they're going to have a very, very real decision to make come down the stretch, whether or not he is going to factor in. Because you hate to think about the body of work that Felix Hernandez has put forth for that organization.
Yeah.
But if you're the organization, at what point in time do you look beyond what an individual has done for you up until a certain point, and do you take advantage of the position you're in as a team? And is it a matter of asking Felix to go down to the bullpen and hold tight if they find somehow, some way, an ability to put together an entire start, whether it's somebody else out on the market that hasn't been identified or somebody within?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you got to have somebody to replace him.
Exactly.
You saw the American League West updated. The Astros beat the Giants today 2-1. It was a day game. And the Giants were close to helping us last night and today, and they couldn't do it.
Ninth inning last night, 8th inning today.
Yep, so a lot of pitching in that series. The Giants offense just could not do anything, and the Astros, even all banged up, the Astros were able to win a couple of pitchers duels over in San Francisco. They were without Correa, Altuve, McCann, Springer, McCullers, but they hit a couple huge home runs in that series, and that was the difference. So the Astros now 73-42.
If you're the Astros, you're thinking about the top 3 slots in your lineup.
This is the Springer injury. Watch his thumb. It looked bad. It was not a broken thumb, but he's going to be out for a couple weeks.
Well, they said the tag by Taylor hit him
really,
hard.
The tag?
Yeah, you could see Taylor really tagging him hard as he was sliding in, and you know how bad it was because Coco Crisp, I think it was Juan Uribe, San Francisco a few years back in the exhibition game, that tagged him as Coco was stealing in the exhibition game. He tagged him hard. I think he broke his finger.
Yep.
So that's kind of what it looked like there. I don't know, maybe combined with the tag and hitting the bag. That was not good, sliding, because that's the head first slide with the fingers, jamming it into the bag. That's where it can be very, very hurtful.
And that 3-2 pitch is up and into Dozier. So Dozier walks. He's been on base 3 times in the first 4 innings.
Well, they wanted it down and away, and it was up and in. Not even close to the target.
And again, when you see pitchers start to miss high arm side, one of the first things that you can think about is just being a little quick in their delivery. Not enough time to get that arm in its usual spot. You don't get to your usual release point. Start to spray a little.
Well, here's Machado, fielder's choice, and a fly ball to right, and has scored a run. So the playoff situation for the A's, for the Dodgers, they come into today a half game out in the West and a half game back in the wild card. So they're kind of sitting there in a pretty good spot. They're a half game behind the Diamondbacks. Colorado right behind them. And it's sort of a bunched up group in the National League wild card race. I think the Dodgers probably feel pretty good about what they're all about the final month and a half. There they are in the wild card, just a half game back. So they're watching the Arizona-Philadelphia score. The Phillies with a 1-0 lead in the desert. That game in the 6th inning. Machado pops a foul. Dodgers overall 62-51. They got off to a slow start, which they've done before, but they always seem to turn it on. 46-31 record since May 9th. So good offense. Pitching's always pretty good. And they got a very, very good closer. So they will be right there at the end. And there's a pretty good chance they'll get into the postseason again.
That's a big deal for the Dodgers as well, to have yourself a healthy Kenley Jansen. Wasn't the case early on. Some issues with the fastball, velocity down a tick. Seemingly he's gotten himself right. You've seen that 25 out of the last 26 save opportunities.
1-2 to Machado. Nice block by Luke. Well, after this quick 2-game series, the Dodgers will head to Colorado for a 4-game set. Those folks may be going with them. A lot of Dodger fans tonight. It's all right.
That's right. They're people.
Welcoming folks.
That's
right? Come on in. Behave yourself.
Keep the beach balls to a minimum.
How about 0? Two and 2 to Machado. On deck is Justin Turner. And a high fastball, swing and a miss.
Well, you go down with the breaking ball, try to expand, slow him down, change the eye level. You know the drill, and go right back up, working that meat ladder, a little higher than high, up out of the zone. And Manny Machado looks good, just not able to get to it.
Pagan has faced 4 hitters. He struck out 3 and walked 1. So here's Turner. Turner's had a good ball game and doubled in the first. He singled and scored in the 3rd.
Dozier broke to second on that pitch like he was going to go shut it down with the quick delivery from Pagan.
Pagan does the right thing, checks on him.
Not a bad time to pitch out if you're going to, or inclined to pitch out, because outfield shading Turner to the opposite field. Of course, that's where he hit the ball in his first at bat, double to right center. A fastball away. You like a pitch out?
Pinder gets back there, reaches up and makes the catch. Side retired, runner stranded. Bottom of the fourth coming up. Lowry, Davis, and Canada hit. 3-0 Dodgers.
How about the former Athletic, Rich Hill? Tonight doing what he normally does. Fastball struck out Chris Davis, then dropped down a little sidearm to the left-hander, and that's a big breaking ball to Lucroy, and a breaking ball to Matt Chapman. So 4 strikeouts for the crafty left-hander. And Rich Hill's just sneaking enough fastballs in where the hitters might be looking curveball.
So heart of the order, Lowry, Davis, and Canna against Hill. 88 miles an hour. That's about what you're going to get with the fastball.
That's about it. Well, Rich Hill was so appreciative of the Athletics giving him an opportunity.
That's true.
And I think that's why, even though he was traded, and it's worked out very well financially for him, especially after really being out of baseball. But he really enjoyed his time here. So very much outgoing, even though he was when he signed with the Athletics. Yes, I said, really appreciate the opportunity the A's have given him to be able to pitch again, and especially in the rotation.
Well, Ray, if you look at his how it went leading up to the A's signing, in 2015 with Boston, he made 4 starts.
That's right.
And I believe they were right at the end of the year.
Yeah, he
pitched very well.
Yeah, let me do it. Yeah.
And the A's said, hey, you know what? Let's take a shot in this guy. And I think it was a 1-year, maybe a $6 million deal.
Exactly.
And he pitched well for the A's, even though he fought that blister situation. But that, you're right, the A's giving him that contract and saying, you're in our rotation, you're going to pitch. It has led to this, where he's become a very good pitcher. He's pitched in the postseason. And like you said, he got a huge contract.
Absolutely. And he happened to be with a club that appreciated what he did do for them and what he's capable of doing.
Well, perseverance is what I think about when I think about Rich Hill. You're talking about a guy that you pulled off the scrap heap out there in the Indy League, pitching for the Long Island Ducks. Foss, this guy's packing his own bags.
That's right.
You know, he might have been driving the bus if they needed it. Now he finds himself in the big leagues, chilling on a nice mountain of dough. He's got barrels of iron. Now he's just got to worry about going out there and getting outs.
Line drive. What a play. Machado, his throw is going to be late. A terrific play by Manny Machado. It's going to be the first hit of the night for the A's, and it belongs to Chris Davis. So a hard hit ball in the hole. If a shortstop leaves his feet, especially on the back end, it's going to be tough for him to throw anything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's impressive that he even dove for the ball, because a lot of guys wouldn't even think about it. I mean, we saw it over the weekend. And he makes the play there, and let's say Chris Davis falls down, he's out.
Sure.
You know, so he makes the play, he leaves his feet, comes up with it, throws from the backside. But pretty good shortstop / third baseman. Either way, he's good.
He's a ball hawk.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. He's a ball hawk. You've seen the plays he made over at the hot corner for years. See him come over to shortstop. It doesn't matter. Natural shortstop as is.
Yeah.
Playing third base. Anything he can get a glove on, he figures you're out.
Canna drives it left field. Coming in is Taylor, and Taylor grabs it. Nice play. Got a good jump.
And that is twice now. Mark Canna has absolutely hammered the curveball out of Rich Hill. In my opinion, this is something that Mark Canna has taken with him to the plate as far as the game plan goes. I'm going to get that bender. I'm going to go ahead and hit it. And we talked about it. Might not be something a lot of guys feel comfortable in, going up there picking on somebody's out pitch. But there's no doubt that Canna's been looking for it. He's gotten it, and he's hit it with authority twice.
Olsen, first pitch, skies it. Who's going to make the play? And the catcher, Barnes, hangs with it. Side retired, so the A's get their first hit, nothing else. 5th inning coming up. Dodgers 3, A's nothing. It's Emilio Pecan, who's had a good inning in the third, so he's going to stay out there.
Well, you throw 24 pitches in that period of time, and Bob Melvin knows he's got a loaded bullpen. However, if he doesn't have to use all of them, and Pagan's pitching well, then let him keep going.
And that's something that this bullpen does an amazing job of, giving you more than just one inning,
That's
more
right.
than just 3 outs. Emilio Pagan himself has 6 outings of 2 innings, 8 innings of 2 innings or more. So we mentioned, obviously not the start you're looking for, but when you've got guys that have the ability to give you multiple inning outings like this bullpen does, you've got to like your chances.
Well, the nice thing about it too, and I think one of the worst things to see where a pitcher comes in and his lights out. He'll face guys, and then the guy comes in the opposite. Let's take him out. For what? You know?
He's doing fine.
Thank you. Leave him in there. You know, he'll tell you if he's not going to do the job, you know, but we have seen it all too often where, I mean, even there.
Luke Croy hanging with it, and he makes the catch. So TK
Smart Play of the
Hernandez
Day
is
brought to you by your California Ford dealers. Check this out. Can't touch this. That's MC Hammer. It looks like Hank Aaron, doesn't it? That's why they call him the Hammer. You know the interesting thing about this guy? Watch this. Watch this. MC Hammer. And look who's going to sign the baseball. Nick Martini's going to sign it for him.
Hey.
Nick Martini, MC Hammer. Attaboy.
We got to teach Martini. We got to teach him. Look, when they are significantly cooler than you, you've got to get their autograph.
That's right.
And guys, just a little secret. I spent a lot of time getting autographs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I've done it my whole life, but you know that's part of the game. But you know, MC Hammer, you know, I was here when Hammer was Hammer Time.
I'm telling you.
You know, when he was in the parking lot.
As we all get older, we just want to make sure the players remember MC Hammer, right?
That's right. That's a great point.
Guys, I got a question. How many games did you guys do where you were wearing the Hammer pants?
Got them on right now, baby.
I mean, you think about MC Hammer and his entourage and everything that he did in the songs, and I mean the original. Remember we had him up here a couple years ago. Well, actually 12 when it's a bobblehead. I mean, he was outstanding.
Very nice guy.
Yeah.
He had a good little run. He had a good.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, rolled into the parking lot today and there's 8 different tour buses and got a lot going on for the first pitch.
Kemp pops it up. This will be playable for Olsen. 2 away. And that'll bring up Chris Taylor.
Number 3.
Well, you think the Dodgers are happy right now that Rich Hill's pitching well. He's given up nothing in 4 innings. But meanwhile, Emilio Pagan, in relief of Sean Manaea, has given up a walk, and that's it. And it's 31 pitches.
But this is, it's what we've seen all year.
Exactly. And it's perfect. There's Rick Honeycutt and his left-handed pitcher.
Sound like a broken bat. And that's a good inning. 8-pitch inning for Emilio Pagan. Bottom of the 5th coming up. Piscotty to lead it off. Single runs in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd for Los Angeles. Rich Hill will face Piscotty, Pinder, and Lucroy, bottom 3. So I did a little research, you guys. You know, when I do that, I like make a little effort for you guys.
I like it.
You're the best, man.
Yeah.
Put your thinking hat on.
Okay, so just follow me on this. I thought it was very interesting. So we have watched the A's go 33-10 in their last 43 games, right?
True.
Matt?
Unbelievable stretch, right? We're talking 6-7 weeks. I mean, it's been great, right? And I remember the Dodgers having a stretch last year where they went crazy, right? So I said, well, I want to check it out. This has been pretty good baseball by the A's. Last year, from June 7th through August 25th, that's a 2.5-month stretch, 67 games.
Yeah.
The Dodgers went 56-11.
Like that.
Seriously,
Yeah.
Dallas, 56-11?
Yeah.
So think how well the A's have played going 33-10.
Yeah.
It's been great. I mean,
Yeah.
they went 56-11.
How about that? Yeah, I mean, that was impressive. And I remember it happening. And
They just kept, I mean, they won every day.
yeah.
Every day.
And that's the feeling you get when you come to the park. Hey,
Absolutely.
we're going to win. You know, and I think really right now, and I would think Dave Roberts and his bench coach Bob Guerin's got to be thinking, let's hope Rich Hill in the bullpen does a good job, because the A's bullpen shutting us down
They
offensively.
get it. They know what's
exactly.
going on.
And, you know, they scored 3, 1 in each of the first 3 innings. And, you know, it may be enough. Rich Hill's pitching well. They have a good bullpen, good closer. But I think if the A's could just find a way to get on the board, it might change everything.
Yeah.
Well, it does. You know how it goes, Foss. You scratch that one across against a guy who's having a good go against you. You start to see some pitches up. You shake him a little. You might get him off of his game plan, get him out of his approach. And again, the next thing you know, you're starting to string ABs together. You get a big 2-out knock, maybe a couple runs, and the entire complexion of the game changes.
Piscotty taps one up the third baseline, foul. But when they finished that run, they were 91-36. But here's the best part. The topper, they then lost 16 out of 17.
I remember that too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How does that happen?
I know. Yeah, where's the stopper in that crew?
That's unbelievable.
You know, that's what, 3 times through the rotation.
And at that point, they had a big enough lead where it was not an issue. But can you believe that? You go 56-11, and then you lose 16 out of 17. I don't think they were too
you know,
worried about it at that point. But.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but that is a phenomenal streak to get to that point. And then to have the luxury of losing that many and still
not even
running away with it.
And the Dodgers have been rolling. They have won the National League West 5 straight years. They've had 90 wins in 5 consecutive seasons, those 5. So most consecutive 90-win seasons in the National League since 1946.
Well, I guess Joe Morgan at the bottom.
That's
Cincinnati
right.
Reds. He
That's
was
right.
in during that period of time.
You know, the Dodgers on a good roll. They just need to cap it off with a World Series victory, which has eluded them for quite a while now.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they waited a while for that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, someone said, you know, isn't it time somebody else won the division besides the Dodgers? Well, they do it for a reason, because they're pretty good.
Yeah, it's there's no such thing as somebody's time.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I always find that amusing when somebody's. I think it's their time. It's like, what does that mean?
Well, how about the guy that just saw right there that Kershaw is pitching tomorrow night? You think he's not thinking it's time?
Absolutely.
You know, these guys, I mean, 88's a long time ago. 30 years to be exactly. So think about how many players now. Well, I can think of 0 that, you know, we're in this team.
When you think time, I think a lot of people think talent that they have on their team. You'd like to win with these guys. You think contract situations. When are these guys going to be out of here?
Yeah.
So you think window of opportunity. That's their time. And I think about a time for Felix Hernandez to get to the postseason, and I feel like that time has come and gone.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you hate to think about a talent like Mike Trout not having seen the postseason the way you'd like to have his talent on stage.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Dallas. My thing with it is, well, there's also 10 other teams or 9 other teams in the postseason that are saying it's our time.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, it's everybody's time.
You know, the one thing, you think about this, you think of the run. Well, you think of the Dodgers, for example, what you talked about last year. You think of the Red Sox this year.
Sure.
All it takes for them to get to postseason get cold. And it can happen. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and you know, they won't be, and more likely the way they're going, they're not going to be a wild card.
And there's another loss. So this is Game 5 of the 1988 World Series right here at the Coliseum, and this was the game that won it for the Dodgers. Hershiser was pretty much unbeatable that whole season, and he took it right into the World Series. And it happened again right here on this field.
Now batting the catcher.
There he is.
Jonathan
So it was. See, that's the thing too. Like, I mean, you know, I don't know how the Dodger players from that '88 team, what they would say, but did they know in spring training that, yep, this is our year? Probably not.
Well, and I think what they were saying, they beat Pittsburgh to get in the World Series, or to.
You know what? I think they beat the Mets.
Was it the Mets?
The Mets.
They had to play hard to get to the World Series. I know that, and it was like they were the underdogs. The team they beat, I think you're right, the Mets were supposed to be in there, and it wasn't as if the A's in '88 said, "Oh, you know, we're playing a less productive team and inferior team," and they're world champs in the World Series, and you know they just got hot.
I think it was more just the media surrounding that World Series, where if you looked at the two lineups, you know, it was like, whoa, man, it almost looked like a mismatch. But they were hot and they played great, and they had a hot pitcher.
Well, and that's why Game 1, when Gibson hit the home run, I think the A's realized they were going to be down 2-0 coming home, because Hershiser got them to the World Series. And you see on the phone, and one of the things that Dodgers, supposedly one of the teams that would have the starter go fewer innings than anybody, just because of the times through the batting order.
Machado scoops out at second. Dozier on the turner and got him. That one hurt. Very close play at first. Al Pedrique thinks maybe Lucroy beat it. Lucroy's going to stop at first base.
And Dozier, the quick turn, and he's out. He got him.
Well, this is what the addition of a Manny Machado and a Brian Dozier bring to the table. Quick hands over there in the 6 hole from Machado. A nice turn by the natural second baseman, the bulldozer Brian Dozier.
So Rich Hill makes a big pitch, and he gets the 6-4-3 double play. So now he's need a 2-out hit. Curve, and it's a strike.
And you have to wonder, Cap, if Lucroy had done something, Rich Hill might not have gone through 5 innings. And he needs 1 out to get through 5.
Great point, Voss.
A little bit high.
I thought it was interesting last year when he was lights out 2 times through the batting order, they took him out. And
it was in the World Series,
World
right?
Series, yeah.
It's the lefty Scott Alexander. So the count 1-2. Well, he just keeps flipping that curveball.
Yeah.
It's got to be frustrating for a hitter, really for a whole lineup.
Well, 44 fastballs, 36 curveballs that made.
And if you didn't know the number, like you had the exact number, you would swear he's thrown more curveballs than fastballs.
But I think over the course of the time he's been a starter, that people start looking at fastball. There it is, drop
down
to a right-hander.
Little slurve. Machado's got it. So Rich Hill works his way out of the jam, and he's threatened and do not score.
is brought to you by the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid, America's first hybrid minivan. Test drive one today.
Well, they're having a good time in the treehouse like every night. We found out how much fun we could have in the treehouse on Saturday night. Did our broadcast from out there. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change, tune-up, and repair expert. So Ryan Buchter comes in. He'll face Bellinger, Puig, and Barnes, the bottom three for the Dodgers. Good fastball, and Bellinger with a mighty swing.
And if Buchter and the rest of the bullpen can follow what Pagan did, and offense can come alive, then it could be a worthwhile evening for the Athletics. Does he go out for the 6th?
Kind of a funny question if you think about it, isn't it?
I know, but you wouldn't think he's given up. He's given up a whole one hit, 3 walks in 5 innings.
We'll wait to see if he goes out for the 6th.
Going through the batting order the 3rd time. And I think the one thing we saw with Simeon, where he dropped down, very rarely do you see either lefty or righty against the opposite side hitter that drops down, because you're supposed to be able to see the ball better. He's done that a couple of times tonight, throwing a right-hander, which is predominantly right-handed hitting lineup facing Hill tonight.
When the reason for that, Foss, is being a lefty who doesn't throw a changeup or doesn't really have a great changeup. You drop that arm angle, you've got a different look that you're offering these guys, and that reduction in speed as well. Not quite the same velocity on that little burger he's flipping in there from that low sidearm slot. And it's just a different perception. That hitter from the right side now sees that arm angle drop, and he sort of anticipates that ball making its way back to the center of the zone, and it just never does. They kind of give up on it, but it's still tantalizing.
And the fastball is high, so it's a leadoff walk for Cody Bellinger. Well, that's 5 walks now by ace pitchers, so that's been a little bit of an issue. One of them has scored.
Yasiel Puig.
And here's Yasiel Puig. Puig seems to be roundly booed in pretty much every visiting park. I think it's just what you're like supposed to do. A's fans don't have anything against Yasiel Puig. They hardly ever play against him, right? But I think it's like, oh, that's Puig, we got to boo him. That's the fan code.
Well, it is a combination of a light smattering of boos and Puig as well from the home crowd. They got some love for him.
And he flips one to right. That's going to get it done. Bellinger's very fast. He hits the bag at second, headed for third. The throw is not quite in time. Very, very close play.
And Chapman saying, let's take a look at it. He immediately looked to Bob Melvin and pointed, and Ryan Christensen on the phone to Adam Roden. And the play.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, maybe he's saying that he got him on the, check the left hand. See if it gets to the bag right there before he tagged him. They're going to take a look at it, and that's a big play. And let's hope that Chapman trying to be like a statue on decoy. And
I got him out, Foss, and you absolutely nailed it. Matt Chapman does a tremendous job of deking the runner, because at any point in time, Chapman starts to lower himself to the ground. He gives away that the ball is on its way. So he statues him, and I think he might have got that leather down on that left hand just in time.
It sure looks like it. It was quickly applied to the point that it looked like he did.
That's funny. Bellinger and Chapman are standing right next to each other, and they're both looking up at the screen.
See Chapman, and now watch a quick tag. Bang.
He got him.
Yeah, looked like he got him on the wrist before the hand got in. But Chapman's so upright as a statue, and then catch and tag quickly. And I think
that's right. You think about quick tags, you think about Javi Baez. Javi Baez is going to be at home tonight taking notes from one Matt Chapman at the hot corner.
Yeah. Well, slowed down, statuesque, tag quickly. It's a big play.
This is your best look, I think.
See, he swiped across his wrist, and I think that's why Chappie thought he got him before the hand got in, because he gets him right on the wrist there before he thinks the hand gets to the bag. Just hope they don't drop a definitive thing on us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Say,
I bet they're going to say you cannot definitively say that his hand did not reach the bag before he tagged.
The call on the field following review.
so to be first and third, nobody out.
And you know, it's worthy of a challenge, because if Chappie thought he got him,
Yeah, I agree. Even though it did not go the A's way, I mean, they looked at it a long time, put it that way.
And I think it's more the definitive thing. And even though it looked.
So Sean Kelly gets up for the first time.
Well, now you've got Austin Barnes at the dish, the man responsible for the safety squeeze early on.
Could be doing it again.
I think so, Foss.
Yeah, except this time, nobody out. Yeah.
Does it again.
Here
comes the runner. Booker's throw, and got him. Bellinger reached around with his right hand. So he may be thinking he got his right hand in there.
You know, the one thing Luke Roy does on this, they're going to check it as well. Bob Guerin on the phone to their video coordinator. Watch Luke Roy as Booker feeds him with the glove. Watch Luke catch the ball and then go to tag him. He gets his body in front. But to your point, he's okay there, and then goes after him to block him off. And I think they're saying they're going to take a look at this one. This is interesting.
Well, I like it. Go ahead and take a look, because the call on the field was out.
Yeah.
And there's no definitive proof or anything that's showing me we've got any other result.
If they're going to give him third, they have to take away home.
You know what I'm saying, Foss? Come on.
I mean, if you're looking at definitive, and I wonder if Dave Roberts is trying to ask for a crew chief review, because he's out talking to Mike Winters. And maybe they're going to go about the block at the plate by Jonathan Lucroy. But he catches the ball and then goes.
That's right. He catches the ball, takes that lane away, applies the tag in the upper left chest area. But all the credit in the world to Booker to come off that mound, do or die. The only chance he had of making that play was either with the bare hand scoop or with the glove, like he did.
Didn't even get the plate. The umpire blocking a little bit, Tim Timmons. But if Dave Roberts went to the home plate umpire or to Mike Winters, crew chief, I just wonder if they're saying the block it, did they give him a lane at the plate? But it looked like he caught the ball in front of the plate, then went to the block, which he's allowed to do with the baseball.
But you could see it was predetermined in Booker's mind. He knew what he had to do. Go to the glove. No time to make a transfer. It's that do or die.
Well, he definitely touched home.
Yeah, he touched play. That's a good shot there. You're right. Just a question of whether he got him in the chest. He tried to.
Yeah, and I think as you see that right hand come in and it elevates and then goes down for the tag, that moment in time between his hand coming up and making contact with the plate, that's when the tag is applied to the chest.
So called out, and that's a big part of this equation.
Well, again, I would venture to say that they're going to say it wasn't definitive at third. And if they're going to say the definitive part about this, unless they're looking at the foot of Jonathan Lucroy.
Here we go. He's out.
Good call. Good play all the way around. You're right, Dallas. I mean, the fact Bob Melvin's going to go to the bullpen, but the fact that a pitcher can catch the ball in his glove enough that it's not up in the webbing so he can flip it with the palm versus the webbing to get the ball to Lucroy and enough time to get the tag.
All right, Sean Kelly making his A's debut when we come back. Tonight it's the 2012 AL West clinch on the last day of the season versus the Rangers versus Coco Crisp 2012 Game 4 ALDS walk-off. So they didn't happen all that far apart from each other. It was a good season. It was a lot of fun. Fans vote through our A's Twitter poll. Play that wins advances to face the next member. So that was a stretch of a couple weeks that was a lot of fun.
That was an elimination game too. Seth Smith, who scored the winning run, had a huge hit. Welcome Sean Kelly.
So look at Kelly. His numbers with Washington: 1-0, 3.34 ERA. He's been around a while. He's 34 years old. This is his 10th year in the big leagues. He's had stops in, he started in Seattle, and then the Yankees for a couple years, San Diego for a year, and the last 2 years plus this year, so the last 3 years in Washington. And now an Athletic, Sean Kelly. So 2-0 the count, 2 on, 1 out. Dozier is the hitter. And now 3-0. Puig is at second, Barnes is at first. Pitch is well off the plate. That's a 4-pitch walk, and now the bases are loaded for Manny Machado. The walks have been an issue, Ray. That's 6 in this game.
Yeah, you're right. And you have to hope in this.
Messing with fire.
Yeah, and hope in this inning they do not come around the score. But the A's are hoping for a ground ball, but Kelly has to throw a strike. The real problem here, you try to groove a strike, and when that happens, that's not good.
8 career grand slams for Machado.
And strike one here is very important to Manny Machado. 1-0 counts, he's hitting .439. 2-0 counts, he's hitting over 500, 588. Get ahead of him, .237.
And that one just missed. Jonathan Lucroy checks with Tim Timmons, says, what about that pitch?
Borderline. Living on the edge. Sean Kelly wants it. I'd like it, wouldn't mind it.
Like this.
Chapman waiting, and Chapman's got it. A monstrous out.
Sean Kelly throws 6 pitches, and he finally throws a strike on number 6. It's a pop-up. It's a pop-up. Thank you. Way out in front is Manny Machado, and one-handed, just a horrible swing, and maybe tried to hit a grand slam, because that's not the typical Manny Machado swing. The A's will take it because that is a huge out. You see the umpires throw up their right hand. That's a good sign.
So now you got to get Turner. Turner takes, pitch up and away. Puig, Barnes, Dozier. And Turner takes the pitch low. Outfield shifted toward right center.
This is a crucial pitch for both, and you can only hope that Justin Turner has a similar swing Machado did on the 1-0. He's got a 2-0. Only difference for this guy is that he'll try to go to the opposite field.
Turner Drives one to left. Pinder's there, and Kelly gets out of it. So he made the big pitches when he needed to, and the Dodgers leave him loaded.
Of the way you can be a part of our A's family. General admission access to every single 2019 regular season home game, plus a plan of reserve seat tickets. You got 50% off concession, 25% off merchandise and parking discounts. First opportunity, this is great, to purchase 2018 postseason tickets, and you can learn more at athletics.com/2019. Today, A's access every game your way. Not everybody's way, just your way. Stopper, how about that? Stoppers everywhere.
Yep.
You'd
almost think there was a couple stoppers, but there's
a whole bunch of them. I think you're right.
So, bottom of the 6th. First pitch to Chapman is a fastball swing and a miss.
I don't know that an A's hitter tonight can really be comfortable seeing a fastball, because the number of curveballs that are thrown by Rich Hill.
Some of the scores from today that we're keeping an eye on: the Astros win, Mariners lose. How about that one? Yankees 3, White Sox 3, top of the 13th inning.
Wow.
That one is drilled left field, fair ball. Lands at the base of the wall, and Chapman with a leadoff double.
Had a good start. Stayed back nicely with a couple of strikes. You know, Matt Chapman is such a strong hitter anyway. It's not surprised to see him stay back, as it'll drop down. There's your backdoor slur of Dallas you're talking about, and that's a great point that you made about the curveball, different look on that curveball, and Matt Chapman all over it as it came backdoor.
Well, the trend is, Foss, with 2 strikes, that's what he's been trying to do. He tries to give him a different look. Maybe he can catch him looking, turn him into a window shopper. Not the case. These guys have started to look for this pitch. Just the AB that he had against Pinder. Pinder took some good passes at the breaking ball. Same thing with Marcana. We mentioned that bullpen's going to get cranking for the Dodgers. 3rd time through, you mentioned it, Foss, the numbers against Rich Hill. Only .243 batting average against, but he's only had 77 plate appearances 3rd time through.
Well, you do it in the World Series, you're going to do it during the regular season for sure. That's what happened last year. So the A's bullpen's been great. And Cap, I think to your point, top of the inning, Houdiniac for Sean Kelly.
Hey.
To load the bases and made 2 good pitches when he had to.
See that A's bullpen just rubs off on you, man.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Remember, Sean Kelly was sitting in the dugout. Now he's sitting there because he's in the game, but he was sitting there even before he came in, and Didn't throw a lot of strikes, but he threw them when he had to and made good pitches to get it done.
Lowry takes a strike outside corner. So the count 1-2 to Lowry, who has walked and hit a fly ball to center field.
Well, worst case, and we talked about the A's getting on board for Jed Lowry. Obviously, to get him in would be great, but to get him over would be just as good. And Dodgers, no doubt, would play the infield back. Just get on the board somehow, some way. You know, I think a lot of times with the pitcher, in the case of Rich Hill, throws a lot of curveballs, sneaky fastball. Go through the batting order the third time, maybe hitters either start guessing correctly, or at least they start making contact and able to recognize pitches, patterns, whatever.
And that's what Rich Hill is trying to switch up with 2 strikes to the righty Chapman. He goes breaking ball, 2 strikes here against Lowry. He goes heater.
Yeah.
I got him going breaking ball here after the fastball, trying to put Lowry away.
Runs inside, so the count 2-2.
And you know, I think in this situation, you almost have to give up and not even think about opposite field, because he's throwing the slow curve, the fastball. It's going to be hard to hit the ball to the opposite field, so you might as well just go for the base hit to have an inning in which you can score some runs. I mean, while it would be great to get him over, but even better to get him in, and probably going to hit the ball the left side.
2-2 pitch, fastball on the outside corner, strike 3 call. That was a perfect pitch by Hill.
Oh, that's a
well-located fastball, down and away.
It's amazing.
Lowry might have been sitting soft.
Yeah. To take that pitch, he had to be. I mean, that is. I mean, you know, thinking about listening to your brother in the game and talking about a guy throwing 100 miles an hour. Where's he throwing it? Rich Hill just proved that you don't have to throw hard.
Absolutely.
You hit the corners, you know, and you can throw hard. You might get away with it, but you can make a mistake, and evidently he made a couple of mistakes to Marwin Gonzalez and White last night and today.
Plus the thought of a 75-mile-an-hour breaking ball, that's a wonderful thing for a pitcher too. I'm saying the hitter thinking about that.
Yeah, you can't wait long enough. And then in the case of Jed Lowry, he waited, and then there's a paint fastball outside corner at about 89, 90 miles per hour.
0-1 to Davis.
But,
88.
When you get 88, a little bit of a quick pitch, little slide step from Rich Hill as well. I think that's kind of the conversation Katie just briefly had with the home plate umpire. Did he stop? Did he go? He did.
There's Davis. That's improvement right there, from 246 with runners in scoring position last year, 280 this year. And you know what? It's noticeable.
Yeah,
We've noticed it.
Sure.
Just better at bats with runners in scoring position, and it's showing up with 86 RBIs.
Well, and the Dodgers are not shifting him like some clubs do. Got the second baseman Dozier to the right of second, first base side.
1-2 pitch, fastball right at the top of the strike zone. The last 100 balls put in play by Chris Davis, this is where they have gone. So the 12% is left open. So all that makes sense. The 1-2 pitch, that one's hit left center field, hit a ton, and that baby's gone, 3-2.
Maybe Dave Roberts thought, I'll let him pitch to this batter, and one swing of the bat, it's a one-run game, and now he goes to the mound. How rare is it that Chris Davis goes home run against lefties back-to-back games? Sunday, Lariano, tonight against Hill, something he didn't do a lot last year. He's doing more and more now.
So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change, tune-up, and repair experts.
Is brought to you by the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid, America's first hybrid minivan. Test drive one today.
It's time to take a look at StatCast here for this absolute rod off the bat of KD. 105 miles an hour exit velo, 25-degree launch angle, 420 feet away from home plate. That ball was absolutely smoked.
So StatCast AI powered by AWS. And now it's 3-2. So run out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And the new pitcher is Dylan Floro, who came over in a trade early July from the Cincinnati Reds, and he's done a good job for the Dodgers, so he's really had a good season all around, his 36th appearance. Tanner tries to hold up, and he did, so 1-1.
You just don't want to make sure, you don't want to look at his setup, because talk about a setup, a pitcher, where he puts the glove up to his face, and the lefty, so maybe quick. How about this? Looks up. Glove in front of his face. Ball 2.
So if you're a hitter, it's probably weirding you out a little bit.
Yeah, don't even look at it. Just look at the ground. Time it. Okay, he's ready to throw. I'll look up now.
Aside from the glance up to the heavens, kind of reminds you a little bit of Andy Pettit.
Yeah.
Toward the left field corner, but it's going to be well foul.
Well, there's nobody stronger than this man. As Rich Hill throws the fastball, then there it is, and there it goes. I mean, this is a no doubt of a lefty's bat. This man is strong, slightly left of center, and in the upper deck, and a little salute to Matt Williams, and spread it home from third base. KD with 32, another against the lefty. Got Liriano on Sunday. Off day yesterday. Rich Hill tonight.
2-pitch foul. That Canna had a good swing.
This is it. Fastballs and real estate, boys. Location, location, location. Found out the hard way.
That did not take long to adopt. No, that was a rocket. You look at probably one of the strongest men in baseball hitting wise, and you look at the stature of Chris Davis. You wonder where's it come from. But just quick hands, lower body, very strong.
The article in the San Francisco Chronicle said he reminds Willie Mays.
But then that was the skipper Bob Melvin who said that a little bit. Whatever, KD, just keep doing it. But 31 home runs with 2 strikes says a lot.
Yeah, well, that goes back to that advancement as a hitter as well.
Exactly. You think? Yeah, exactly.
But I think the article about Chris Davis-Willey, it had a lot to do with the stature.
Yeah.
I mean, Willie Mays was not a real big guy, and kind of the hitting style where he steps in the bucket a little bit and he hits the ball to right field, and then Mays did the same thing.
See, KD could have hit him out consistently. The Candlestick, he could hit him out to left field and right field. Mays said he had to change a little bit because of Candlestick going to right field.
Strike 3 called on the outside corner.
One better. And Olsen's going to get the lefty, and McKenna did not like Tim Timmons' call as he let him know. He wanted to go inside, went outside.
So Alexander, the lefty, coming in. So it'd be lefty on lefty when we come back.
The then greatest win streak in baseball history. 20 straight wins propelled the A's to the playoffs. Join us as we celebrate the return of the streak team Saturday, August the 18th. It's against the Astros 105. First team, 15,000 fans will receive a streak team t-shirt presented by Cache Creek Casino Resort. Grab your 50th anniversary memory. For tickets, head to athletics.com. That's a neat shirt.
A little bit of everybody on there.
Gaylord Perry wore that because that's all the teams he played for. He put a logo of every team on a jersey. Padna.
Well, here's Scott Alexander. Comes in to face Matt Olson, lefty on lefty. Alexander coming over from the Kansas City Royals this past offseason. Got off to a slow start, pitching much better now. 2-0, 3.42 ERA.
That slow start included an appearance against the A's in Los Angeles in a game the A's won big. Simeon and
no, it's okay.
Olson actually got a base hit off him.
That was, what was the final? 15-0?
16-6. A's lost 4-0 the previous night. The guy named Wilbur Font, remember him? He gave up a few runs, 6 runs to be exact, and now he's lights out.
Two and 1 the count. Well, Scott Alexander, born and grew up in Santa Rosa at the Cardinal Newman High School. So he could very well have some friends and family in the ballpark tonight and tomorrow night.
Cal product, and you can see why he's nasty. 91 to 95 from the left side. He's keeping lefties sub 200 batting average. Slider anywhere from 84 to 87.
Double action for the Athletics in their bullpen. You have to think 1 if it's tie, 1 if the A's trail by 1. It's Merrill Petit on the just made the pitch, and Trevino standing. Skipper trying to get through this game with the bullpen. So far, they've done an outstanding job. 3 runs for the Dodgers in the first 3 innings, and that's it.
Another bouncer foul. Count remains full. So Chris Davis with home run number 32 has made this a 3-2 ball game. Yankees have scored a run in the top of the 13th. It's now 4-3. Game still going on in Chicago. Of course, the A's trailing the Yankees by 3 games for the #1 wild card spot.
Was that Davidson who pitched last night? Was that pitched against
Matt Davidson? Yeah, the designated hitter for the White Sox.
Pitched for the White Sox. That
punched out Stanton.
Yeah.
Nice little curveball.
So Olsen strikes out, side retired. A's have made it a ball game again. They always seem to do it. Thanks to Chris Davis. This swing of the bat. So 7th inning coming up. Dodgers 3, A's 2.
Zone out to the A's game. Our very own Dallas Braden had some fun. As with the hundreds of kids, parents, and teachers got to learn about science, technology, engineering, and Dallas Braden. All math through baseball-themed hands-on exhibits. Learn more about how Chevron and the A's are partnering to bring STEM to life through baseball. Visit athletics.com/science.
Smoke.
Who's that guy?
Science is fun, boys.
How'd you do in school with science?
Baseball's fun too, Foss.
Dallas, I don't want you next to any Bunsen burners or beakers. No. I don't want you near any of that.
I'm safe around explosives.
Yeah, right.
You don't trust me around this?
Yeah, right.
I don't want your beard to start on fire, all right? So it's a 3-2 game, top of the 7th. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change, tune-up, and repair expert. So appearance number 54 for Yusmeiro Petit. He's facing Jock Peterson, who's pinch hitting for Kike Hernandez. A bit of a platoon situation, I guess, with Peterson and Hernandez in center field. Foul straight back, mighty swing by Peterson, and he generally takes a mighty swing.
Right.
He's not somebody who's going to drop much of a 2-strike swing on you. See what he does here behind him, count 1 and 2. Jock Peterson is a local kid as well from Palo Alto. Still lives there. Drives one. Left center field, could be trouble. Off the jagged edge. Peterson digging for second, and he's got a double. Missed a home run by about a foot.
He just flipped that ball out there. And there's a jagged edge just to the right of the 388 above the NBC Sports California sign. And there it is, just a one-handed swing. Good pitch from Petit outside, but Peterson shortened the swing a little bit, went down to get it, and look at they're playing him to pull this ball. And talk about a stroke of luck. Look where this ball hit. That's as close to being a home run. Played the Karen perfectly, did Mark Canna, and another 6 inches to the right. That's a home run.
It's good positioning by Clay Wood there.
Oh, Clay, outstanding.
Here's Matt Kemp, leadoff man aboard. Kemp smokes one foul.
Good, Ben. Good boy.
Seems to be a calmness, a confidence about Ben down the third baseline.
Yeah, he's just, you know, the guys just sit down there, they're cool. Knowing Ben can handle it.
I think he's ready for the big leagues.
Brody grabbed his glove.
Who did?
Brody. Remember that guy?
Who?
Brody.
He grabbed whose glove?
Brody grabbed. He said, "Ben, let me see that glove," and I said, "What are you doing?" And he went down and he put his hands together like he's a quarterback. And I said, "That's a quarterback. That's not." He says, "Well, you know, I learned from Wash. Wash told me how to get down."
Who learned from Wash? Brody? What did Brody learn from Wash? Seriously?
Yeah, he said he learned from Wash. I said, "I'm sorry."
Down in the minor leagues?
Keep your day job, Brody.
Spring training? Did I miss it? Did Brody get some big league time? Has he got a pension? What am I missing?
Good block, Luke.
Great block by Luke.
Yeah, it's out way out in front. This is big 90 feet that he did not allow. That's absorbing it. Took it underneath the chin, got the extension on his mask, but kept it close to him, got rid of the mask, picked it up, and let's go get him. But boy, you talk about a confidence boost for a pitcher to bounce a curveball like that. Good block by Luke. Got him with 5, digging him out tonight. In fact, he did a good job Sunday.
Kemp, a little cue shot, fair. Peterson's going to round third. He's going to come in to score, and Matt Kemp says, "I'll take it." And it's an RBI single to give the Dodgers a 4-2 lead.
Well, the old saying, you make contact, you got a chance to do something. Another breaking ball. This one stayed up. I mean, that is a cue shot. That is off the end of the bat, checked up nicely. And of course, read perfectly by runner at second.
Check out Kemp here. The first replay showed as he tracks it off the bat. He has no idea where that ball is heading. He sort of looks up out to center, thinking that ball might be headed out in front of him, when in fact it heads to right. Hit him where they ain't.
So Kemp gets his 65th RBI. And here's Chris Taylor. A mighty swing by Taylor. Taylor has walked, hit a fly ball to right field, grounded to short. He scored in the second.
That amazing back-to-back pitches. One in the dirt, blocked nicely. The next one hung, stayed up. And I think to Dallas's point, sometimes you swing the bat and you really don't know where the ball is going. And Kemp is fortunate that Jock Peterson did, because he read it perfectly, knew it was going to land, could score easily.
Kemp with a short lead. And 0-2 pitch. Taylor swung over top.
Good slider down and away from Petit. He's got a good feel for that pitch early right now, throwing it for strikes. Just a good job of taking advantage of the aggressiveness of Taylor in an 0-2 count and had him in swing mode early.
So here is Cody Bellinger. fouled on the right field line. And it's a Dodgers fan zone on the right field line.
Bellinger hunting that fastball, very frustrated with himself after the swing.
Old Popeye Arms is here, Steve Garvey.
Popeye Arms.
There he is, Steve Garvey. Lopes, Russell, and Say have to be close by.
Oh, yeah. They were together a long time.
0-2 to Bellinger. Cody Bellinger's father, Clay, a big leaguer. The Yankees won a couple World Series. Yankees.
He threw it to the son in the home run derby last year. Yeah.
Yankees in 1999 and 2000 when they won the World Series. What year was the Slide Jeremy, Slide Jeter play? Was that 2000?
Talking about that.
Was it 2000? Or what? I said
Slide Jeremy. Well, that play was all right until the late Don Zimmer and Derek Jeter said we work on that every spring. Don't think so. I think that's simply the captain being exactly around the field, figured I got nothing to do at shortstop, and let's just go there.
Good take by Bellinger. Throw to first before the payoff.
You just never know. Every run counts. Every run matters here late in the ball game. Outs are at a premium, as are runs right now. 3-2. Could have Kim moving with the pitch. Probably not. Not a speedster.
Runner goes and Bellinger takes it low. So 2 on and 1 out. Hey, Xfinity X1 customers say, show me the Oakland A's in your X1 voice remote and get live stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1. So here's Puig to face Yosmero Petit. Here's walk number 7 now by A's pitchers. Nice crowd tonight, Ray. 33,654.
It's good. I said about 22, and then, of course, huge walk up. Big crowd tonight. Expecting again tomorrow night. Just trying to find a way to come back.
A lot of energy in the building tonight. Energetic crowd.
Yeah. Fighting crowd tonight, huh?
A little bit. A little bit.
Yeah.
Petit in this inning has been ahead at every batter. Unfortunately, a double, RBI single, strikeout, walk with Bellinger.
Puig fouls him straight back.
And now again with Puig.
So 0-2 to Yasiel Puig. He's for 10 in his career.
It's probably with the Dodgers series when they're interleague play, the natural rivalry.
Puig takes inside. I think over the course of Puig's career, he's a very dangerous hitter. I think pitchers try to pitch him inside.
Yeah.
I don't think he likes the ball inside. Petit's not a guy who pitches inside a lot, but he may have to here to Puig. Chapman's got it. Fires to second for 1 to first. That's a double play. Dodgers get a run. 7th inning stretch time from the Coliseum. 4-2 LA. timeless moment. Game 5, 1974 World Series. That's how it ended. Riley Fingers, the comebacker. Riley took care of that. Ray Fosse, brace yourself. It's celebration time at the Coliseum.
Bob Joshua, a little ground ball to Riley, flips to Gino, and the celebration begins. Look out, Ray just had neck surgery. Captain South.
So what did you guys do? It's a night game. You guys win. Did you all go out to dinner? What do you remember how you guys celebrated?
Yeah.
All right.
Went to dinner and celebrated. And
Piscotty's
exactly right.
going to lead things off.
And the next day, as Charlie predicted, had a parade in downtown Oakland.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right. He made the early prediction. Huh?
Yes, he did. But no, it was a fun time. And especially to not to have to get on the plane after the game to go to Los Angeles. To finish it here. And you're right. Celebrate the next day.
It's a great shot.
And that night, next day. Fun times. And see the difference in that one. They started in Los Angeles. We did. Both 74-88. The only difference was the A's split in 74. Came back and won 3 straight.
That one is drilled toward left center field. That's going to be a base hit. Piscotty digging for second. That handled real cleanly out there in deep left center field by Taylor. And Piscotty's got a double.
Atta baby, these swings look a heck of a lot better than they did on the range yesterday for old Piscotty. He gets himself a nice little combio, middle, change up, stays back, delivers a nice solid blow up the left center gap. You can see Taylor, a little bit of a bobble. No harm, no foul. Piscotty cruises into second with a leadoff stand-up double, and the green and gold are cooking here late.
See, that's one of the problems about some sort of a shift. I mean, Peterson is looking at his cheat sheet now. Is playing in right center. Actually, that's Taylor in center. But the problem, if you're Shada got a right field, you got a change up. He's going to pull it in the gap in left center. There was nobody there.
Peterson's in left. Taylor's in
left,
center.
yeah, exactly. Taylor moved over to center. Peterson had been playing center. That's why it's a little confusing for me, but it is that with Taylor in center. But he was in right center against Piscotty.
0-2 to Chad Pinder.
We talked about the 2 pitchers joining the club. Chad Pinder off the DL after the little accident in Denver. Got the stitches out. Everything's good. He's trying to come through with a big hit.
And that's a nasty pitch, and Pinder strikes out. Well, the A's needed a productive out there, and they did not get it.
Well, especially after the leadoff double, just to nothing else get him over. Cannot always expect breaking ball in the dirt. Chad just a little bit too anxious on the pitch. Short hop scoop by Barnes.
So 1 out. Here's Jonathan Lucroy.
The Dodgers taking a 2-run lead with the Kemp base hit after KD had hit the home run. Jed Lowry didn't get the runner over.
Dozier ranging to his left makes the play. 2 away with Piscotty going to third.
See, if Piscotty had gotten a third, more likely, again, the Dodgers with a 2-run lead would have given up the run. That's the difference of them scoring a run on the top of the inning the way they did.
Jerry's Familia is getting ready to come into the game for the Athletics. Simeon takes a first pitch strike. And now it's 0-2.
Different Scott Alexander now than we saw in the early part of the season. To your point, might have struggled early, but not now. He's pitching very well. You know what? The A's will take a wild pitch. I think they'd take just about anything with this guy to get it over to third.
Marcus tonight, a ground out, a fly ball to left, and a pop out to short. Alexander likes to work down.
We've seen the slider, we've seen the changeup. Decent off-speed offerings from Alexander. Good arm speed.
Got another changeup and break it down the left field line.
Ooh. So Barnes with the block, and the count runs full.
Well, they caught the changeup, which means he's anticipated the pitch down, anticipated the pitch in the dirt. Good job of blocking the ball with the ball that bounced in front of home plate. Fastball away.
Right off the end of the bat. It looked like it got a piece of the catcher Barnes.
Yeah.
Yankees won that game in extra innings. 4-3 was the final, and it was in 13 innings. Stanton hit a homer, Andujar hit a homer. Winning pitcher, Sonny Gray.
Out of the bullpen.
Out of the bullpen. 3 innings out of the bullpen. So his first career win in relief. Just his 3rd overall appearance, and we saw his first 2, didn't we, Ray?
Yes, we did. 2 that were just as a get your feet wet type relief appearances.
That's right.
Pittsburgh and Anaheim.
Three and 2. It's 5. So good battle here by Marcus Semien.
Yeah, Chris Davis hit a 2-run home run on a 2-strike pitch, but looks like Marcus Semien just trying to make contact and maybe try to get a base hit. KD with his 32nd, a huge home run to left center.
Popped up, shallow right, and that'll do it. So the A's got a leadoff double, but could not do anything with it, and we are on to the 8th. Hour. It's also available to listen live and as a podcast on NBC Sports Bay Area. We've reached the 8th inning. Dodgers leading 4-2, first of this quick 2-game series. We'll have a night game begin tomorrow. Fiers and Kershaw is your pitching matchup tomorrow. This is Grandal, who's pinch hitting for Barnes. Responding Grandal. Grandal, 19 home runs, 56 runs batted in, so he's having a good year.
Some left-handed pop off the bench for Dave Roberts.
Grandal does most of the catching. Barnes, kind of the backup catcher, but against lefties, Barnes gets a little bit of time. Dozier to follow, and then Machado here in the 8th inning.
Well, the A's know who they're going to have to face in the 9th inning if this holds up for the Dodgers, which means that Petit has to do his job to keep the Dodgers from scoring any more, and hopefully his offense can do something in the bottom of the 8th. That is Kenley Jansen, who more likely would have the 9th inning. It stays this way.
2-2 pitch, pop foul.
Jansen just did not seem to be too nervous, did he? Just kind of sitting down there.
Cool. Who's that?
Kenley Jansen.
Yeah, he's not.
You know, just down there, just.
He's not.
Let's kick it back.
Looks like he may get the 8th. And there is Kenley Jansen.
Pedro Baez chopping it up.
A little bit high, 3-2. Only one other game going on. And the Angels leading the Tigers in the 8th inning 11-5 down in Southern California, which is where we will be this weekend. Right to Matt Olson, who scoops it up. Olson takes it himself. One away here in the 8th.
Did not want to take that many pitches to get the out, but he ultimately got the out, and that's all that matters for Petit.
Now batting, number 6, Brian.
So here's Dozier. The Dodgers will look up and see that the Diamondbacks lost. So if the Dodgers were to win this game, they would move back into first place. The A's know that the Astros won earlier today. So right now the A's 5 games behind the Astros in the AL West. Dozier hits one in the air to left, playable for Pinder. So 2 outs.
MLB.TV is now available at a lower price for $59.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game. Plus, get a free subscription to MLB At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this special offer. It's a good one.
He could be watching the Angels game. So here's Machado with that very familiar open stance. Leg lift and closes it up. A free agent after this year, Manny Machado.
As I mentioned, Machado took the number 8 because of Kobe Bryant, who played for the Lakers for many years. Max Muncy, of course, came out tonight. A lot of handshakes and hugs with former teammates. Muncy not playing tonight, but he said, hey, I was willing to give up 13, but he didn't want it.
I bet he's more disappointed than anything. Get yourself a nice watch or something.
That's right.
Something. Toward the left field corner. And it's off the wall. Picked up quickly by Pinder. He's got a good arm. Fires it back in. Machado with a double. So who else is WAR number 8 that we would recognize? Of course, Cal Ripken. Yep. Steve Young here in the Bay Area. He wore it well. Kobe. Alex Ovechkin, who I think from what I've understand is he's still partying from winning the.
Still drinking from the Stanley Cup.
He hasn't slept. He hasn't slept. So Yogi Berra, of course. There's something about Yogi Berra's number 8 sitting on that Yankee uniform, though. There's just something about it.
Was it Bill Dickey, also the 8 that was retired?
Yep.
So number 8 retired twice in New York.
Manny Machado is going to be a free agent. Listen to this, guys. At the age of 26.
Yeah. And nothing against Bryce Harper, but I would think that Manny Machado is going to be just a little bit better when it comes to
I agree with you.
Going with the team.
I agree with you, absolutely, 100%. Both terrific players. If you said you got to take one, I would take Machado.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
And that's nothing against Bryce Harper. Dallas, you can have one of them. You can't have both.
Well, you know, I hate to get picky, but I think about the knee injuries that Manny Machado has sustained, and I have to think about how long he'll be able to play a premium defensive position at an elite level. At the same time, Bryce Harper hasn't necessarily had those consistent superstar runs back-to-back years. Haven't seen that. Manny Machado has sustained a level of elite play for a while, so I think in the long term I'll take Manny just because of what he can give you defensively now, but obviously the offensive prowess, and ultimately at the end of a career you see these guys sliding into a DH/AL type role anyway.
Center field should be the third out. Cano waits, and it is. Bottom of the 8th coming up. See if the A's can pull off some late inning magic down 4-2.
Of the Oakland Athletics. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
Here's our game summary brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. 4-9-0 for the Dodgers, 2-4-0 for the Athletics. Rich Hill went 5 1/3. Sean and I didn't have it tonight. 2 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, and 3 walks. Another home run for Chris Davis, his 32nd of the year. So the A's have a couple more opportunities. So you keep that in mind against this Dodger bullpen. They have a very, very good closer. And right now the A's are going to face JT Chargois, who's appearing for the 32nd time. So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change, tune-up, and repair expert. So it'll be Matt Chapman leading it off. Yasmani Grandal stays in the game, and he is the catcher after pinch hitting. The only extra player left on the Dodgers bench is our old friend Max Muncy. Probably see Muncy in the lineup tomorrow.
Well, Babe Muncy.
Yep.
Babe, yeah. Dave Muncy.
Chapman doubled and scored in the 6th.
You think that was about a month or so ago, month and a half or so ago, Max Muncy put that Dodger offense on his back.
Yeah.
Chapman, big bouncer, but it's foul. Turner grabs it in foul territory. Here's Max Muncy. Unbelievable season for Muncy. 24 home runs. Dodgers can tell you that they knew it was going to happen. They're lying. We're not buying it.
It's like Chargois thought he might have had himself strike 3. Slider down and away.
Yeah. Thought he had it, but he didn't.
So 3-2. A's need a couple base runners, get something going. Strike 3 call.
Front door. He knew it. The breaking ball started inside. Watch Matt Chapman. As soon as this happens, watch him just turn and go, because he knows. He knows it's happening right there.
Lowry.
Just tough to pull the trigger. 3-2 slider.
You got a guy coming in throwing sliders early. You're anticipating 94, 97.
Big bouncer, that's a fair ball. Bellinger hustles to the bag. He's got it, 2 outs.
Time now for the Chrysler Drive of the game. Well, Chris Davis against Rich Hill. Fastball, no doubter. You can see the leg kick, but Rich Hill, you know that was the fastball. You also know that when Chris Davis puts a charge into it, it does not take long to get out. That was the case. That made it a 1-run game, unfortunately for the A's. That kid got an into the bat base hit. So now KD comes up with nobody on base.
First pitch to Davis. Slider, and it's a touch low. Chargois stared in at Tim Timmons. So Jansen will just start to get loose. Kenley Jansen, he's a big guy. Right? Just doesn't move around real fast. Looks like Lee Smith.
Lee Smith, I was thinking about that.
So Chargois with a very good inning, 3 up, 3 down, and we have reached the 9th inning. It's 4-2 Dodgers. So 4-2, top of the 9th inning from the Coliseum. Big crowd tonight, over 33,000. He's going to have one more shot. Coming in to pitch for the Athletics, it'll be Neris Familia. Overall, 6-4 with a 2.40 ERA. It's his 7th appearance with the Athletics. He's allowed 1 unearned run with the A's, so he's done a good job. I'm not surprised.
Settled in very nicely. I think one of the biggest things that you had to think about with Familia coming over was how that bullpen assignment was going to shake out.
Exactly.
And to his credit, to his character, I think is what it speaks to. Just give me the ball. Give me the ball. Let me go get outs. 7th inning, 8th inning, 9th inning. I can do it all. I've done it all. I want to win.
Yep.
And when you get a mindset like that coming over with the skins on the wall and the dirt under the cleats that Familia has, you know it's a total team effort.
And I'm sure when a new guy comes to the team, listen, it's part of a manager's job is to say, this is what's going to happen.
That's right. This is your role.
You're going to close once in a while, but you're not going to close a lot.
And I think coming over, he had to have known that because of the success Trider had.
Sure.
And Trider, he had seen him when he's with the Mets, Trider with the National last year. And of course, following, as players do, they have follow guys. So the skipper, very good about communicating with his players. Like Trider, the closer for the Athletics, and Lou Trevino, Chris Hatcher, guys in the pen, a very good pen for the Athletics.
Sure, if you're the manager, you don't want anybody to come back and say, well, I didn't know. It's like, yeah, you did, because I told you.
And you know, Kev, I think this is a nice situation for the A's because in essence you could put a closer in the game in the 9th inning and try to keep it in 2 runs.
Sure.
And you know, and you don't want to say burn your closer, but essentially you've got one in Familia coming into the 9th inning. Coming in a tie game, you get it back to the bottom.
So 3-2 to Jacques Peterson. Will be followed by Kemp and then Taylor. Nick Martini chalking up a little bit. Mariano getting loose in case of a pinch running situation. Peterson swings and misses. May have swung at ball 4. So 1 away here in the top of the 9th inning. Make sure you join us tomorrow for game 2 of the series. We'll have it for you right here on NBC Sports California. A's pregame live will get us kicked off at 6:30. Interesting matchup. Mike Fiers, he'll make his first start for the Athletics. He's having a pretty good year against that man, Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw, one of the game's dominant starters for quite a while now, although fighting injuries a little bit the last couple years. It's the back situation that just has not been able to get rid of.
You know, the nice thing, look at those numbers, you see the great strikeout to walk ratio by Kershaw, but Fiers has the same one. I mean, Mike Fiers does not walk a lot of getting batters. He's got a good strikeout to walk ratio. So it should be a very good matchup tomorrow night, especially also the A's with another opportunity and trying to take the 2-run deficit at the bottom of the 9th.
A couple times on base for Kemp with a walk and also an RBI single. Chapman has it, flips it across. So 2 outs here in the top of the 9th.
Yeah, more and more we're seeing Matt Chapman doing just what he did right there. Kemp runs well, but you know, he knew he had time, so he just flipped the ball across. Not a max effort to get Kemp, but Wache catches the ball, and this is learning right here. Just a nice, easy throw. And when he has to throw, he can throw hard. Instruction from the bench with Taylor up, maybe move in a couple of steps, and then he lays down a bunt. But the quickness of Matt Chapman allows him to play deeper than normal, with the possibility of a hitter bunting because of his quickness getting to the ball.
First pitch to Taylor, a mighty swing and a miss. Taylor is 0 for 3. He walked and scored in the second. The Dodgers with single runs in the first, the second, the third, and the seventh. He's got their 2 runs on Davis's home run, and that was in the bottom of the 6th inning.
And we've seen Sean Manaea in the dugout cheering his teammates, and one thing for sure, he's got to be thinking about the 3 he gave up in the first 3 innings. Could have been a different game, but it just did not have his best stuff tonight.
Pitch swing and a miss. He struck him out 97 miles an hour. So good inning for Familia. See if the A's can do something against the big fella, Kenley Jansen.
Designed for the grind that comes through every time. See your local Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. By Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Xfinity. X1 will change the way you experience TV.
All right, so last shot for the Athletics. And they'll have to do it against one of the game's best closers. His name is Kenley Jansen. You've heard of him? You've seen him?
And he throws. You look at the percentage of cutters he throws, it's almost like the Mariano Rivera reincarnate. I mean, because sinker, slider, but mostly cutters.
Jansen is 30 years old. He's 6'5", 275 pounds. He's got 31 saves this year. So, see what the A's can do. Nick Martini's going to lead things off. He'll be pinch hitting for Canna.
Now let's see if his on-base percentage proves to be good against a very good closer.
Well, the first pitch is in first strike.
After all, if Nick Martini does not get MC Hammer's autograph after throwing the first pitch,
that's worth a base hit.
That's right.
So quick 0-2 on a couple of cutters.
You've seen a couple different deliveries from Jansen here. That first one more methodical. That second one a little bit more of a quick pitch or a roll through.
Martini lays off that one. That was not a cutter.
Yeah, if we talk about the A's bullpen, but if you look at what the Dodgers have done following the home run by Chris Davis, the A's have only had the leadoff double by Piscotty in the 7th inning, and that's it. So the bullpen doing an excellent job for Dave Roberts.
One-two pitch. And Martini goes around. So Grandal called for a high fastball, and that's what Kenley Jansen threw, and he gets the strikeout.
Well, it's that high heater, slight cut to it, just up above the hands of Martini. Looks very appetizing out of the hand, tough to lay off.
28, Matt Olson.
It's a savvy vet at work there.
Yeah, it's amazing. You see that the identification of the pitch by Martini, but he'd already committed and couldn't do anything.
So here's Matt Olson. Went 92 miles an hour. Jansen has the ability to elevate the ball. And Olson is 0 for 3. He's have just 4 hits. Dodgers with 9.
There you got a good look at that more methodical windup, if you will. Buzz the tower on Ole here. Up and in, got a good smell of that one. But very similar to Clayton Kershaw and his mechanics from the windup was that delivery from Jansen.
And boy, he really has a long stride, doesn't he, Dallas? He just kind of jumps at you.
Well, that's again, he's switching it up. You've seen two different deliveries. It's 2 different timing mechanisms that the hitter's forced to try to extrapolate some sort of sign, some sort of key for themselves. Difficult to do, especially with 91 in movement.
Strike 3 called, and Olson knew it.
Look at the hesitation. I mean, if you're a hitter, you say, wait, when are you going to throw the ball? And Kenley Jansen this time took a long time, and the hesitation, and finally drilled it right down at 93. Cut action to the outside, and Cap, I think, as you have said many times, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. Well, playing the Dodgers, especially with this guy, at his best.
Yep, you want to get him before you get to the 9th.
That's right.
So A's have struck out 11 times tonight. And it's up to Piscotty, who has yet to be retired. 2 walks and a double. And that's who the A's will face tomorrow night, Clayton Kershaw. First pitch, grounded to third, backhanded by Turner. And that's the ball game. So Rich Hill gets the win, his 5th win of the year, and it is save number 32 for Kenley Jansen. So the first game of this quick 2-game series goes to the Los Angeles Dodgers. It took 3 hours and 21 minutes. Paid a crowd was 33,654. Final score, the Dodgers 4 and the A's 2. Time now for A's post-game live. Here is Brody Brazil.